Please do this one, I really need to know. He's asking why women are shaving their heads over Renee Good. That is the woman who got terminally oppressed by ICE for defending Somali scammers, otherwise known as George Floyd. Here's the answer. The drawings are crappy in the interest of not making the videos take forever. So first of all, hair is a sign of fertility. Everybody loves women with long, healthy hair, and women with short and broken and messed up hair are disgusting. That's actually a sign of poor nutrition. So let's say it's ancient times and we're living in straw huts again. If these women are not being adequately provided for, their hair might break because of starvation. Okay, number two, the police are like dad. You call them for help, and when they don't do what you want, then they're like mean dad. So when women express themselves politically by saying, I want a pony and infinity Democrat votes, dad, the police, can either say, okay, sweetie, whatever you want, and then they say, hooray, I will continue to be a spoiled brat, and nothing changes. Or dad can say no, in which case he becomes mean dad, and then she removes the signs of her fertility. Withholding fertility is the primary weapon of the Floyd. So removing my own hair means I'm withholding my sexuality because you didn't do what I want. Kind of like most marriages. But now women are married to the state, so they do it in public instead of at home.
Wow. That's crazy, isn't it? That's nuts. How's everybody doing tonight? I thought that video was very interesting by Homath, where he explains why they shaved their heads and why they're crazy. But hey, whatever. I hope it didn't offend anybody. That was not my intention. Pat Hacker was the first one here tonight. Says, I hope you're doing a piece on Scott Adams. And Scott Adams will be the first story of the evening. He will. Catherine K says, I agree. I'm seriously grieving over this today. Listen to him every day since COVID. Great to see you, Catherine K. Iowa Backyard Cams is here. Good evening. Like is hit. I'll be listening. Well, thank you. Terry's here. What's up, Terry? Great to see you. What the F says, rest in peace, Scott Adams. Yes, rest in peace, Mr. Dilbert. Sad day for sure. It is. Hey, G. Sharkman's here too. Great to see you. All right. None of your business. Good evening, all. Lisa Today's here. What's up? Good evening, everybody. Great to see you. Ads. I think they're off now. They should be off. Um, they should be off now. Yeah, they're off. It just took a second. You got to wait till the stream starts to shut them off, and then that's how that works. So, hey, American Dreamers here. What's up? Great to see you. Tell us, Jim. I'm going to tell you all tonight. I got a bunch of things. Hope Jim feel better. I'm still, I don't want to talk about it because it's kind of TMI, but I'm still not like, I don't know what's going on with me. I had to take a bunch of Imodium today. Let's put it that way. And okay, Iowa Backyard Farms, and now Mr. Steven over at Kick says, "Hey, homie, I can steer your stream to a Kick community and help you get more than 1,000 organic followers." Well, I don't want organic followers. I want human followers. I don't want followers made out of peat and compost. Come on, Brian Ogden, what's up? Howdy, how you doing? Great to see you here. Yeah, and Anne Marie's here. What's up? Howdy, peeps. I had that a week ago. Yeah, it's brutal. Ooh, it's rough, man. Like, it was waking me up. I had to get up to run to the bathroom. It's not good. So yeah. So hey, everybody, it's Jim. Jim tells you. We're gonna tell you some news tonight. It's Tuesday night, January 13th, 2026, and big news of the evening is Scott Adams passed away today after his long bout with cancer. We're going to get into that in 1 second. But first, there's a little housekeeping that has to be taken care of. So we're going to do this, and I hope this doesn't sour anybody. But, we have a goal, as there is every evening, for every $100 in total that comes in across all platforms, including Super Chats, Rumble Rants, gifted memberships, becoming a member on all platforms, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, Twitch, Locals. Also, if there's pinned in the chat, there's links for Cash App and PayPal, Coffee, and also something called Super Tips that you can use to make donations any way you want. When 100 comes in across all things, I add it all up. We add an extra hour to the show for every 100 that comes in. We add an extra hour. The show could be as long as you want. It could be 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, however long you want. The show could be. It's all up to you guys. And then as an added bonus, when we hit the first 50, we activate the Bellavision for the evening. Unless someone generously makes an individual donation of $25 or greater, which could be, a PayPal, Cash App, Super Chat, Rumble Rant, or, 5 gifted memberships would have that happen. And then, so here's Bella's. Why is she all screwy again tonight? What, did she move her bed again? Anyway, so there's Bella. She's just chilling. She's snorting now. So, all right. So, Mama Pillow's here. Hey, Grandma Pillow, great to see you. Sweet Tooth's here. What's up, Sweet Tooth? So nice to see you. Yeah. Let's get into this first story. With a heavy heart. Oh yeah, legendary cartoonist and MAGA thought leader Scott Adams passes away at the young age of 68. 68 is not old anymore. It's not. It's young. Too young to be passing now. Oh, man, why am I crooked here? What is going on? Tributes pour in after his long cancer battle. The legendary cartoonist Scott Adams has passed away at the young age of 68. Adams passed away on Tuesday morning following a prolonged battle with prostate cancer. His death was announced during a live stream hosted by his ex-wife. Coffee with Scott Adams moves to the Scott Adams School, 11324.
Everyone, unfortunately, this isn't good news. Of course, he waited till just before the show started, but he's not with us right anymore. I'm going to try to get through this. He has a final message that he wanted to say, so I'm going to try to read it, trying to be strong. If you are reading this, things did not go well for me. I have a few things to say before I go. My body failed before my brain. I am of sound mind as I write this January 1st, 2026. If you wonder about any of my choices for my estate or anything else, Please know I'm free of any coercion or inappropriate influence of any sort. I promise. Next, many of my Christian friends have asked me to find Jesus before I go. I'm not a believer, but I have to admit the risk reward calculation for doing so looks so attractive to me. So here I go. I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior and look forward to spending an eternity with him. The part about me not being a believer should be quite quickly resolved if I wake up in heaven. I won't need any more convincing than that. I hope I'm still qualified for entry. With your permission, I'd like to explain my life. For the first part of my life, I was focused on making myself a worthy husband and parent as a way to find meaning. That worked, but marriages don't always last forever, and mine eventually ended in a highly amicable way. I'm grateful for those years and for the people I came to call my family. Once the marriage unwound, I needed a new focus, a new meaning. And so I donated myself to the world, literally speaking the words out loud in my otherwise silent home. From that point on, I looked for ways I could add the most to people's life, one way or another. That marked the start of my evolution from Dilbert cartoonist to an author of what I hoped would be useful books. By then, I believe I had enough life lessons that I could start passing them on. I continued making Dilbert comics, of course. As luck would have it, I'm a good writer. My book in the useful category was How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. The book turned out to be a huge success, often imitated, and influenced a wide variety of people. I still hear every day how much the book changed lives. My plan to be useful was working. I followed up with my book, Win Bigly, that trained an army of citizens how to be more persuasive, which that correctly saw as a minor superpower. I know the book changed lives because I hear it often. You probably never know the impact the book had on the world, but I know. And it pleases me while giving me a sense of meaning that is impossible to describe. My next book, Loser Think, tried to teach people how to think better, especially if they were displaying their thinking on social media. That one didn't put much of a dent in the universe, but I tried. Finally, my book, Reframe Your Brain, taught readers how to program their own thoughts to make their personal and professional lives better. I was surprised and delighted at how much positive impact the book is having. I also started podcasting a live show called Coffee with Scott Adams, dedicated to helping people think about the world and their lives in a more productive way. I didn't plan it this way, but it ended up helping lots of lonely people find a community that made them less lonely. Again, that had great meaning to me. I had an amazing life. I gave it everything I had. if I got any benefits from my work, I'm asking that you pay it forward as best as you can. That's the legacy I want. Be useful. And please know, I loved you all to the very end. Scott Adams.
It's very heartbreaking to hear that he passed. I thought he was going to pull through. I know it seemed like it was getting worse, but I thought he was going to make it. I really did. I thought he would beat it. So, rest in peace, Scott. Gutfeld was on an X base. Yeah, they were really good friends. So I bet it really broke up Gutfeld. Life isn't different here. Hey, life, how you doing? Great to see you. Mark Wynn Webb says he developed cancer post-vax. It took him pretty quickly. Prostate cancer is one of them things. Can be very aggressive, and I've read stuff. I don't know. I don't know if it's been, what the studies say about it. But I've read stuff that there's been an increase in very rapid aggressive cancers after the vaccine. So just another example of why the government sucks. American Dreamer says Shelley was so brave. Yes, she was. I don't like missing any of Jim's streams. Well, you don't have to miss any of them. You can always watch them later. Yes, I just started. Yeah, Scott and Charlie are together. This is the first story. Yes. How's everybody? Hope you're doing good. Well, I'm doing good. Rachel Boone, it's so great to see you. So great to see everyone that's here. Markton Webb, Catherine Kay, Brian Ogden, all you guys. Audra's here. Hey, what's up, Audra? Great to see you. And Life of Difference is still fighting the stupid flu and working, so just as crappy as can be. Yeah, I don't know. I caught something. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Some kind of stomach bug. It's not good. I mean, I feel okay. It's just I got this weird thing going on in my digestive tract, we'll call it. And NyQuil's a lifesaver. I haven't had any NyQuil, but I've been using Imodium. Rachel says, I've been fighting pneumonia or COVID. I keep trying to move and keep going. It's just kicking your butt. Wow, I hope you feel better. Wow, that's brutal. Hopefully it's just COVID and not pneumonia. Yeah. I've been just falling asleep almost like I developed narcolepsy. Been happening the last 3 weeks out of nowhere. COVID is overrated. First time I felt like I had an 8-ball for a week with the flu. Second time was just a bad flu. I've had it twice. Ivermectin and HCQ are your best friends. I never felt it in my life. Yeah. Yes. Loved you too. Yes, the people loved you too, Scott. They did. My husband had a cold and the flu at the same time. Took care of him. Never got sick. You got food poisoning or stomach flu? I don't think it's food poisoning because I'm not the only one that's got it. There's 2 other people that have it. So one of them's my older grandson. My 3-year-old's got it, and my father, who's here visiting, also has it. So it's not food poisoning because we didn't eat the same things. So I don't know what it is. Do a moment of silence for Scott Adams. Rest in peace, warrior. Your work here is done. See you on the other side. Yeah, and I think if you have the cancer gene or whatever, it accelerates it. Unfortunately, you are correct. Doesn't Biden have prostate cancer too? He has. They said he had some kind of prostate cancer, but I would imagine here's the thing, folks. If you're over the age of 50, you need to get checks for prostate. Especially if you're a male, if you're a man, you have to get checks for prostate cancer. But for everybody, you should be getting, colon, all these colon tests and stuff like that because it can sneak up on you if you're not paying attention to it. If you're waiting every 5 years to get checked, a lot can happen in 5 years. Always pay attention if there's anything funny looking, in the turlet. My sickness always lasts forever because I don't sleep, so the body never rests and recovers. Yes, Michelle, very sad news. It's very sad news. A stomach bug is how this started. Oh, great. So you're saying it's going to get worse? Ugh. I like the lives so we all can interact, but I do miss you live. Okay. All right. Eat some kefir. It will put microbes back into your guts. Regarding the cancer increasing. Yeah, I know. I know what you meant. I know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's going to, unfortunately, it's going to be years before we know the true impact of what it did to the world, basically. HJ Remy's here. Hello, everyone. Hello to see you. I hope you feel better soon, Jim. That sucks. Yes, it does. Yes, prayers for Scott and his family. You'd know if it was food poisoning. Yeah, if it was food poisoning, it'd be coming out my mouth, too. Not just where it's going. Mama Pill says, my father died of the same cancer. It turned out his Indian doctor was fake. Oh, my God. Are you serious? Seriously? It's really sad about Scott. Yes, the Lord's, his will be done. On earth as is in heaven. My ex had prostate surgery today. He put it off. Yeah, don't ever put it off. See, a lot of men are very leery about it because it causes a lot of other issues with things. You get the surgery and then things stop working the way they're supposed to. And so people don't want to do that. I had something at Christmas, started as a dry throat cough, flu-like, and I still have a cough now. Well, there is some super flu they were trying to scare everybody with. So I don't know. And it also causes myocarditis. Lost my niece last month, and her siblings all have it. All developed after the shot. She was just 20 and just had a baby. Wow. Mark Gruber is convinced stress of Scott getting canceled by the left killed him. It's possible. Definitely, it's possible. Stuff like that can cause a lot of, it can. Stress can cause a lot of things to your body, there's been studies too, like different things where positive thoughts and feeling just that's why the placebo effect is a thing, because you can convince your body, you can. I mean, can you? I don't know. Can you overcome something just by willing it to happen? Phil Coggins says, my cousin died of aggressive form of colon cancer at 37. I had a genetic test after that and didn't have the same gene. Well, Keith Sutherland was arrested in L.A. for assaulting a rideshare driver. Wow, what is wrong with him? I thought he wasn't. Everyone I know that got the vid shot is dead or has mass health issues. Forced my immediate family not to get it from day one because I didn't trust it. Well, you were very smart. I always ask where any doctor I see got their degree. I always ask if they went to school in Cuba now. There's a lot of them that come from the Caribbean and stuff like that. Some of them, I mean, I don't know. It's just annoying. I hope that you feel better. So I hope you feel better. So Viva did a show with doctors about the cancer and shot. Oh. You're going to have a false pregnancy. I just got over that super flu. It was brutal. Kiefer Dunn got off the deep end. Yeah. So I don't want to watch any more of this video. I don't want to, I wanted to watch the reading of the letter. I don't want to watch the whole 30 minutes just because that's kind of like stealing. If you want to watch it, you can go to Scott Adams' channel and watch the whole thing. I don't want to do that. I don't like just taking things from people unless I've spoke to them ahead of time and get their permission. Elon Musk confirmed sad news today. Rest in peace, Scott Adams, 1957 to 2026. Scott Adams, a beloved cartoonist, author, influential voice within the larger Trump community, passed away today after a hard-fought battle with prostate cancer. He was 68 years old. His ex-wife, Shelley Adams, confirmed his death, saying he's been receiving hospice care for the past several weeks. Scott Adams announced in May that he had aggressive prostate cancer and probably only had a few months to live. There's a direct link to the video in the Rumble, which we just watched. Sadly, the great Trump, weighs in. Sadly, the great influencer Scott Adams has passed away. He was a fantastic guy who liked and respected me and wasn't when it wasn't fashionable to do so. He bravely fought a long battle against a terrible disease. My condolences go out to his family and to all of his many friends and listeners. He will be truly missed. God bless you, Scott. It's too sad. I couldn't have done what she did. It's too personal. Yeah, I don't, like it's like the at funerals, the not like doing eulogies to me is always like it's hard to do that, man, to get up there without breaking down. Honestly, I don't know anyone who's overcome prostate cancer or cervical cancer. It's rough. Scott deserves the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He didn't he? I thought he might have already got one in Trump's first term. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But I thought he did. My mother didn't overcome pancreatic cancer. Yeah, I had an aunt who had like a stomach cancer, like, and they were supposed to go in and take a piece. Actually, not two different aunts, both sides, different sides of the family had cancer in their like stomach or something. Went in, and it was just supposed to be like they said, oh no, go in, we're going to take the piece out, and one of them died on the operating table, and the other one died like 5 days later. So I don't never, whenever they say it's like, we're going to go in and do this and that. And I don't know, the one, I guess I was told that when they went in, they didn't realize how bad it was. And it was like, they just, her heart gave out. And she wasn't that old. I think she was in her 60s at the time. How come bananas don't crack open anymore? Desultory. I don't know. It's something. I know there's some diseases and stuff going on with bananas where they're losing a bunch of crops over places. Dilbert creator Scott Adams dies after a battle with prostate cancer. Political commentator and Dilbert creator Scott Adams died after a battle with prostate cancer. His first wife revealed the death on Real Coffee with Scott Adams and said that read his final message to his audience, including messages about his estate. A number of officials and commentators expressed their condolences over his death, including President Trump. Last year, he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. Every day is a nightmare, and the evening is even worse, he said in May 2025. Life in Difference says, when I get diagnosed with cancer, I'm just going to ask for the best painkillers I can get. Recently, he said his chances of recovering were slim, that he lost feeling in his legs and was suffering from heart failure. I can't move any muscles. I do have feeling. I just can't move muscles. Wow. They're going to try to radiate the pesky tumor that's around my spine. If all goes well and it gets more tumor than it gets good stuff, I might get my at least ability to get some strength back in my lower body. Yes, he was in a lot of pain. I don't know. I mean, we should be spending more money on researching these cancers like this. And it's like, no, Pat Hacker's back says you had to reboot your router. Well, I hate when that happens. He said he's tried a lot of alternative options, including taking a combination of ivermectin and fenbenzidol, which are generally used to treat parasitic infections, but to no avail. Please don't recommend I take ivermectin and fenben. I tried that last year. And the claims of it working, but I'm aware of no patient benefit from it. Neither are you. In November, he made a plea to Trump to allow him to try an experimental type of medication for prostate cancer. After his post, Trump shared a screenshot, and he said he was on it. The same day, RFK Jr. responded and saying the president wants to help. Adams started the Dilbert comic strip in 1989, which lampooned corporate and office culture. It was among the most circulated comic strips in the United States, leading to an animated series of books. Dilbert was dropped by a number of newspapers and other organizations in 2023 after Adams said Black Americans who disagreed with the statement, "It's okay to be white," were part of a hate group. My mom had cancer at 95, no pain at all. She beat it and lived to 97. Well, generally speaking, I think like a lot of times when people get up there in age, in their 70s, upper 70s to 80s. A lot of times they don't do anything about the especially like prostate cancer. They'll be like, it's going to take 5 or 6. If it's not the aggressive one, if it's like they'll be like, it's not. It's going to take so long. You're going to be dead from something else first. So a lot of time, they don't. That kind of skews the numbers to where they don't say people died from cancer when really they did. In recent years, Adams has become a public supporter of Trump and often posted videos that analyze the president's persuasion skills while also saying that his support for Trump has harmed his comics circulation. Says Rachel Boone says, I watched my mama fight lung cancer due to radiation. It burned her skin black. My sister-in-law and others took chemo, made them weak and sick. Not for me. I agree. He was correct about the people. If you don't agree it's okay to be white, you're a part of a hate group, definitely. But that'd be like saying if someone says it's not okay to be black or it's not okay to be Hispanic or Chinese, it's like, what? Lathan Zimmer says, every woman in my family died of cancer before the age of 65, so it's inevitable. It means they got about 20 years left. Oh, don't think like that. Don't think like that. You gotta think positive. Trump says Minnesota officials face day of reckoning. Oh, mid-protest. Oh, I didn't have that story. I'm going to have to keep that. I think is that it? That's all the stuff for this. Yeah, that's it. And I want that story for later. So I'm going to have to try and hold this. I'm going to have to try and hold this off to the side. Over there. All right. And then New York Post says that Dilbert creator Scott Adams, who foretold Trump's rise and diagnosed America's political sickness, is dead at 68. This is sad. How do we transition to the next story? Well, we just do it when it happens. So we saw this from his wife. It says here, if you're reading this, things did not go well for me. I've had a few things to say before I go. My body failed before my mind. So for the first part of my life, I was focused on making myself a worthy husband and a parent and a way to find meaning that work, but marriages don't always last forever. Mine ended in an amicable way. I'm grateful for the years that people I call family. We're going to get into this story later about this actor, the guy who played Poindexter on Revenge of the Nerds and was on a bunch of different stuff, West Wing and everything. He's being hunted right now. Hunted by the U.S. Marshals. And so I guess that story is going to be coming up pretty sooner than later. So here we go. We're going to transition to the next story. I'm a realist. It is as long as I live longer than my dogs, I'm good. DB Crazy, check out Dr. Seyfried. Cancer is predominantly metabolic disease. So let's do Trump flipping off the heckler. Scott, let's do a Scott reframe. Scott is no longer in pain and he's healed. Yes. Former Portlandian, Oregon, Ellie. Scott Adams, Dilbert is having a simultaneous simulation sip in heaven. See you soon. Angel parent. We lost both our sons of fentanyl D's. He would read my chat, AK Sudafed Smurfer. Oh my God. Yes. Amen, Catherine K. Yes, amen. So this story, 6 Minnesota U.S. attorneys resign over the DOJ's handling of the Renee Good ICE shooting. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, the last couple of days I've been talking about why they're not charging these other people, like the wife and the other people, because they're guilty. Well, it turns out their DOJ is looking at charging these people. And so you have the people, the people that board in like ticks into the government, that pretend that they're on the side of good and righteousness, and they were really just leftists that decide they're gonna flip, and quit because they think like, I guess the woman, because she's grieving, she shouldn't be held accountable for her actions either. Well, no, that's not going to happen. On Tuesday, 6 federal prosecutors resigned from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Minnesota. The DOJ directives prompted pushback from career prosecutors after the department refused a civil rights probe and reportedly pushed for a criminal inquiry into Becca Good, sidelining the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. Well, we've talked about it. The Minnesota Bureau of Apprehension has zero authority to investigate anything, and they should be investigating all these people. I am guessing he was greeted by a flock of furry friends at the Rainbow Bridge. I flipped off a heckler? Yes, you did. So this story is this. There's this. So Renee Good's wife commits multiple federal crimes in this video. She reveals the existence of a conspiracy to violate 18 U.S.C. 111 to obstruct or impede federal law enforcement. She then actually intimidates law enforcement, violating 18 U.S.C. 111. She then incites her partner to flee lawful arrest and commit an aggravated assault against federal law enforcement officer with a deadly weapon by hitting the gas. Smartest thing Trump can do is fire everyone from before his second term and start fresh. Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, drive, baby, drive. Yeah, she needs to go. Diamond G, great to see you tonight. Yeah. These crimes must be answered for, and if the career prosecutors in Minnesota are too partisan to do their jobs, Maine Justice under Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche most certainly will find prosecutors who will. Yeah, so. Over push to investigate the ICE shootings, victim's widow. Yes. Is it a widow? They'll investigate ICE, but not Somali fraudsters. At least they have their priorities straight. Yeah, it's crazy, right? They should throw the book at her. They should throw the book at all the people. Like, they said it was this school, and they have this ICE watch and all this other stuff. Like, that should probably be looked into. And, like, if they can get them and they're conspiring to do it, it's a conspiracy to commit a crime where a murder, technically, it's a felony murder because someone died while the felony was happening. So all the other people involved in that felony are on the hook for felony murder. Charge them all. Yes, and go after the ICE group, which the nut art is suing. Yeah. So they want to investigate all these people. So let's read and then of course we're going to read some stories, and then we're going to cover the National Review. Of course, the rhino neocons at National Review are saying, no, Trump, don't do this. Let him go. Give him a pass. Oh, just, they always do. Never do anything. Never follow the law. Never treat everybody the same way. Like, why should these white women and other people in this ICE watch be treated any different than a black guy who robbed a bank or a Mexican guy who robbed a liquor store? And I'm just making these generalizations. Or a white kid who, stole a car and then anything. Why should they get special treatment? Everyone should be treated the same. And she should be treated the same. Several prosecutors and Minneapolis officers quit in protest over DOJ's push to probe Renee Good's widow, Becca Good. Where is she? She ain't on TV crying anywhere. She's probably hiding, and she's probably trying to scrub her videos and all her shit from her phone, because she's probably worried, Hit that like, you pesky citizens. Oh, happy Taco Tuesday, Jim. Yes, pesky citizen Chris, thank you for being here. And yes, please hit the likes. I'm betting the contents of Good's phone is very, very interesting. Yes, she's probably trying to hide it right now. Yes, that's right, Greg. They're awfuls. Affluent, white, female-ish, urbanic, lunatic liberals. Yes. At least 6 prostituters in Minnesota's Minneapolis U.S. Attorney's Office have resigned in protest over the Justice Department's push to probe Renee Good's widow. New cell phone footage from ICE agent involved of the fatal shooting was released last Friday. The POV footage shows Good's wife, Becca Good, talking trash to the ICE agents as he approaches the wife's SUV. You want to come at us? The wife says, you better go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Get out of the effing car, the agent says as he tries to open Good's door. Good accelerates her vehicle as her wife shouted, drive, baby, drive. That might be all it takes there. Oh, look at this Life and Differences rant. Let's see. We got a rant. We do have a rant. And it says, let me make it a little bigger for everybody. Okay. It says, broke till after January because saving for a few guns, but here's a start to today's first hour. Well, thank you. Wow, that was kind of loud. Thank you so much. And with that, $5, that means we are now $95 away from the first additional hour to the show and just $45 away from Bellavision. I'll update the goal on the banner appropriately. Thank you so much. I'm sure the feds took their phone. I hope they did. They better have. Yes. Plenty of interesting stuff on the social media she had. Yeah, they need to get it all. What's it say? The GoFundMe held the funds. They're not releasing them. Yeah, I don't know. If GoFundMe decides to screw around with this fundraiser for the cop who hasn't been charged with any crime, so clearly it's not a violation of their terms of service because it's not a murder. Didn't Waltz say that Kamala got her start as a prostituter? Yes. Go arrest me. Yeah. Ken Phillips, great to see you. Hope you're doing great too. Hey Ken, what's up? You're in perfect time. Good to see you. Yeah. I hope so. If it were one of us normal people, they wouldn't have allowed us to raise money. Well, no, I'm talking about the money for the widow or for them like there's both GoFundMe accounts, one for the goods and then one for the Officer Ross, I believe his name is. And there's a bunch of people on the left, like them fucking midgets, the Krasenstein brothers are trying, and Wired magazine are trying to pressure GoFundMe to cancel the fundraiser for the ICE officer. So let's see. The ICE agent discharged his weapon and fatally shot Good as she tried to run him over. So, yeah, she looks really scared there, right? There's also a give, go, send for the ICE agent for personal use, like moving. Give, send, go. Well, that's good. So we're not going to watch the video again because we watched it so many times. They held the money for her band, for hers band. Justice Department was reportedly pushing to probe Becca and Renee's ties to groups that monitor and disrupt ICE. Good. Now, breaking news, New York Times says 6 federal prostitutors in Minnesota have resigned over the Justice Department's push to investigate the widow and the department's reluctance to investigate the ICE agent who shot Good. Well, there's no evidence. The evidence, they did an investigation. There is an investigation into the shooting, and so far everything looks justified. So they don't just keep investigating and keep doing shit and go like, oh, we're just going to charge him and see what happens to the jury. That's not how it works. You don't do that. Yeah. CBS News reports 6 prostituters resigned abruptly. John Thompson, who was the acting U.S. attorney for Minnesota, was appointed by President Trump in June and served in the position until October. He resigned from the attorney's office with Harry Jacobs, Melinda Williams, and all these other people. And then he was the lead prosecutor in a Feeding Our Future case. Oh, that's probably why a bunch of people are getting off and all this stuff. So who knows? Probably didn't go after the real people. Yeah. Since then, he's charged defendants for defrauding housing and autism service programs, claiming that fraud in Minnesota is top $9 billion. Tell you what, you don't need. It doesn't matter. Anybody. Those are like layups. You don't need, it's not like it was hard work. It's pretty obvious the fraud exists. Just charge the people. Should be charging everybody. You should be charging government officials too. Yeah, at least, if you remember, and people are complaining about this now, but just a week ago, Governor Waltz was calling this guy all types of names and saying he should be fired because that he's making all these claims with. They are now working at the Leering Center. Yeah, delay is obvious. I think he might be right. Where are her eyebrows? I don't know. What are you talking about? Oh, that woman. Yeah, probably shaved them off. At least 4 prostituters have resigned from the DOJ's Civil Rights Division in protest after the unit refused to investigate ICE agent who killed protester Nicole Good in self-defense. New marketing ploy for flavored coffee creamer or frozen dessert ice cream, Minnesota mud flavor, salty lesberry road, real bullet berry, etc. Gauge supports by sales numbers. I'd buy some. Sounds good to me. With that, $10. Thank you so much, ID Crisis Design. That means we are now $85 away from the first additional hour of the show and $35 away from the Bellavision for the evening. Thank you. Well, it's funny. So there was an additional thing here. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. What's an additional thing here I wanted to get? I had. Let me see. Oh, here it is. So here's Tim Waltz. This is what I wanted to say. Here's Tim Waltz talking about it. What I was talking about. There's nothing to investigate. She tried to kill him. He shot in self-defense. Where are these nutters getting their lotteries? Cracker Jack box. Obstruct ICE Leering Center, adding an extra unit to the study. Don't hit ICE with car. Yeah. So here's Tim Waltz talking about the guy who says he. Right.
A U.S. attorney stand up, which was been released by, would have been let go by any other administration, speculating about things with no factual information. That's defamation. That's coming from the U.S. attorney. We are under assault like no other time in our state's history. A U.S. attorney stand up, which was been.
Yeah, this was him calling for the guy to be fired. Now he's saying, oh, he was a principled public servant. But a week ago, see, this is why they're all liars and scumbags. A week ago, he was saying he should be fired, let go. But now he's principled. He's the single biggest gaslighter in the country. But there's another thing I wanted to find it, if I could find it, about the Civil Rights Division, because there was a comment here by here we go. No, that's ain't it. There was a comment by, damn it, sorry. Wait, did I? Oh, damn it! I don't know. There was a comment by talking about the reason they actually quit had nothing to do with this. It was some other stuff that was going on. So I don't know. The New York Times has it. 6 prosecutors quit, but I don't have a subscription, so we're going to skip over that. And then Minnesota prosecutors resign over DOJ Renee Good investigation. The resignation comes Department judge pushes for an investigation into Good's widow while stalling on investigations into the ICE. They're not stalling. They investigated it. This is a lie. They investigated it. One of the prosecutors was identified by the Star Tribune as Joe Thompson, U.S. attorney who prosecuted the Minnesota fraud. Why it matters, Trump administration heavily backed the federal agent for his actions. Yeah, it was on video. That's why. Efforts were spurred by ongoing investigations and accusations of fraud committed by Smellies in the Twin Cities. All right. Same thing here in the 6 Minnesota prosecutors resign over DOJ push to investigate ICE shooting victim. She's not a victim. See? She's not a victim. Not a victim. Is a school shooter, when he gets taken out by the police, is he a victim of the police? No. She committed a crime. She caused all this. It's a sad thing that she's dead. It would be better if she wasn't dead. But no crime was committed by the officer to defend himself from somebody using a car to try to run him over. That's just the facts. I don't know. This seems like an old video. Trump touts ICE operations, crime. This seems old, but we'll listen to it.
Straight statement on Minnesota. On Minnesota, we have taken out killers, rapists, drug dealers, people from mental institutions that came in illegally. All of them, most of them came in illegally. They're from other countries. They came in under the Biden ridiculous open border policy. and we've gotten a lot of them out. We just had numbers from Chicago, where Chicago crime has gone down pretty good. It could go down 100% virtually, but we're fighting with that governor who's so incompetent. But as you know, we took out a lot of killers, murderers, drug dealers, drug addicts, mental institution people, and people from jails. We took them out of Chicago. So Chicago's got much better numbers now than it had a few months ago. We will get no credit for it, but these are minor details. Crime in Washington, D.C. is almost non-existent. It's a safe place, so people can come bring their families. They can send their son and daughter to look at Lincoln, Washington, Jefferson, or whatever they want to look at. But it's almost non-existent. We're very proud of that. Memphis is making tremendous strides, and so is New Orleans. We have a whole group of people, and crime in New Orleans is down about 65%. We've only been there for 3 weeks. So it's really amazing what's happening throughout the country. The crime numbers are among the best numbers we've ever had.
Well, that's good news. Crime's down. He says, FlatX, great to see you, says that CBS is labeling a murder. Well, that might be like a very quick payday for the officer, because that's a crime and that's a defamation per se, and to call it a murder is not protected by CBS. So maybe CBS needs to get cracked. Portland's a cesspool. Did you watch two police crying when talking about the TDA? Yeah. I meant that for the people who posted a video. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm saying, like, I was talking about that too. Yeah. All the criminals are hiding. Yeah. Last night, yeah, we talked about that last night. Top federal prosecutor on the fraud case resigned. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I can handle that fraud case. They're guilty. AOC said he was a murderer. Yeah, all these the politicians probably be able to skate. You know, they'll probably get, they speech and debate clause, even though, and they'll say, they're talking about it, but it's a top topic. But calling him a murderer, I think he is a private citizen. He's not, he's not a public figure, this ICE agent. So calling him a murderer could get you cracked. Tim Walsh reacts to news calling Thompson a principled public servant. But what about the video that we just watched where he was calling him a piece of crap that needed to be fired? Oh. Just send all the insane to California, Minnesota. They can be our asylums. Politicians say whatever they want. Yeah, they do. Joe's a principled public servant, but a week ago you said all this crap. Are they going to even talk about that? Probably not. Minnesota's fraud scandals at the heart of the Trump administration's crackdown. Good was killed in her vehicle during an ICE operation. Homeland Security said the officer acted in self-defense, while local officials and congressional Democrats have maintained a good posed no threat. Wow. A statement shared by Minnesota Public Radio by, I just want to point out that it doesn't say that the police union in Minnesota the Minnesota Police Officers Union says that Good was a threat and that the officer acted reasonably. Becca asked for privacy and thanked for the kindness of strangers. Yeah, she wants privacy now. Renee lived with an overarching belief there is kindness in the world, and we need to do everything we can to find it. So, yes, she was being kind when she was doing that and all the stuff they were saying to those ICE officers. So they always lie and try to use words and twist things around and try to claim, like, we were being kind when we were doing this stuff and interfering with law enforcement. She was a Christian. Oh, well, we're to love each other. So was she loving each other when she was doing that stuff to the officers? No. Also, Christianity also teaches you to honor the laws of Caesar. Remember? It's in the Bible. And then, of course, the fucking rhinos and the neocons at the National Review say another self-destructive decision by the Trump DOJ. Yeah, these guys probably want them to give this officer the Derek Chauvin treatment, to railroad him and put him in front of a jury full of leftist activists and have him, strung up and sentenced to life in prison. That's the rhinos and the neocons for you. I was wondering, I was wondering if we might see a push from the Stephen Miller faction of the Trump administration to take the Minneapolis ICE shooting one step further and criminally charge Renee Good's wife for inciting the shooting. Is there evidence that she incited the shooting? Is there evidence that there was a conspiracy to impede ICE, to break the law, to commit felonies, and then thus someone died during this conspiracy? So that would be the definition of what the whole statute about felony murder is? Yes. She's a Christian. I guess she's never read Leviticus or Deuteronomy. Pull up the video of the female police officer killed by a fleeing felon after running her over. Almost exact same scenario. Yeah, we pulled that. We played that last night, Greg. That was in, I believe, Maryland. I believe. But yeah, it was. That would be classic Miller. No, that would be classic any prosecutor. If this was a different person, like it doesn't matter. Like if a husband and wife robbed a bank, all right, and a car accident ensued after the bank robbery, and one died, the other one would be charged with murder, and they wouldn't say, "Well, they lost their person, so let's be," that wouldn't happen. Yeah, drive, baby, drive. That's what she said. For the Honda. Oh, La Raza for Trump, 130. Great to see you. Hey, Choosy, what's going on? Yep. That would be classic Miller. A typical Trump DOJ pattern of lawfare against personal and political enemies. It's not lawfare when it's the crime and it's the evidence. If they're saying this, they know it's possible on those specific charges. Yes, they're trying to say, watch. There's more than a fig leaf of justification for such charges. Oh, so there's justification for the charges. The ICE officer was supposed to John Wick that shit and roll off the car and keep going. Yeah, well, that's what they think. There's more, yeah. The wife seems to have gotten Good involved in ICE watch, as well as yelling, "Drive, baby, drive," just before Good made the fatal decision to hit the accelerator. But it would nonetheless be a terrible idea to charge her unless there's some very significant new evidence we haven't seen yet. Yes, new evidence like all the phone communications. The Minnesota charged all the officers on the scene for Floydgate. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, they know she's guilty of it. Yeah. A lawfare confession through projection strikes again. Oh, it definitely does. And this is coming from the right, if you believe it. The fucking rhino neocon pieces of crap at National Review. This is the problem, man. This is the problem. Most prosecutors would classify her as having suffered enough. So you suffer. Have you ever heard that? They suffered enough, we're not going to prosecute them for a crime? No, that doesn't happen. They've suffered enough. Yeah. Did the father whose daughter was raped by that child molester and then kidnapped by him, did the prosecutors, those Democrat prosecutors, say he suffered enough when they charged him for shooting the guy that kidnapped his daughter to get his daughter back? No, they charged him and said, prove it in court that it was self-defense, that you're protecting her. Prove it. We think you went too far because afterwards you hit him with the gun after he was dead. Why was she trying to get back in the car before Drive Baby Drive? Yeah. It's Rupar editing. Removal of the first part of a clip, statement, Photoshop, reverses meaning. Polar opposite of truth. Rest in peace, Scott Adams. Yes, it is, Greg. Now here we are. Ernesto Londano of New York Times reports 6 federal prostitutors in Minnesota resigned on Tuesday over the Justice Department's push to investigate the widow of a woman killed by an ICE agent and the department's reluctance to investigate the shooter. They already investigated the shooter. They're investigating the shooting. This is a fucking lie. Anyone saying they're not investigating the shooting, they investigate it. There's no evidence of crime. They don't just keep going. At least National Review aren't the principal conservatives that endorse an actual commie in Mendami. Yeah. This is N Thrill says, feel free to add me on Discord so I can join your live streams whenever you're live. My Discord name is James Clue. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I mean, add you as a friend on Discord? I'm a member of the Kick Discord group. I don't know what else to do with that. Joseph Thompson, who was second in command at the U.S. Attorney's Office, oversaw a sprawling fraud investigation, was among those who quit on Tuesday. Bye. Thompson's resignation came after senior Justice Department officials pressed for a criminal investigation into the actions of the widow and killed by the officer for trying to run him over, and they objected to approach, saying, "Oh no, we don't like to go after criminals. We like to go after people that aren't criminals and make up crimes." Department's refusal to include state officials in investigating. Do they ever include state officials in a federal investigation? No, not at all. I forgot to add the bulwark as the principal conservatives. Yeah. Also today, Homeland Security revoked TPS for thousands of smellies. Yeah, well. Talk about bad timing. Thompson's been the face of smelly fraud probes. Well, there could be a new face. We don't need what's it called, like fair weather prosecutors. She tried to grab the handle of the door and it was locked, and then the dead person peeled off the traffic stop. Yeah. How much is left on Bella's bail? It's 25. It's still 35, but so any 25 will get her freed. Also, they're saying, so now it's going to be someone branded as a Trump flunky. Every U.S. attorney should be a Trump person. They're representing Trump. It's a complete executive power to prosecute people. That's nuts. To say like, it's a Trump flunky. They all should be Trump flunkies. Dan McLaughlin, look at him, senior writer. So everyone should know that Thompson was put in by Trump. Yeah, but he wasn't. But he wasn't approved by the Senate. So maybe, here's the thing: anybody in Minnesota, or because of the blue slips, anybody that Trump tries to put in has to be somebody approved by the demon rats. That's how it works. The Republicans never play that game. The Republicans, the Senate always confirms Democrat people, no matter what the Republican senators say. They just go around them. Yeah, it would be nice if we could actually get the Senate to vote on Trump's appointments. Yeah, it would be. Dan says, the other Gagak says, "Hi, Jim, I'm sorry I'm late." And sometimes the feds will ask the state for information, but it's also how much the state will cooperate. Yeah. And since the state won't cooperate at all with them, why would they involve them at all? All they're going to do is leak whatever information out that they get, try to smear them and cause problems. That's all they're going to do. What's this 5 for? I don't get it. Just double check. I don't see nothing on PayPal. I don't see nothing on Cash App. I thought maybe someone was trying to send me a coded message. Okay. So it'd be federal people doing it. It would be the state's lawyers in federal court. Yeah, that's what they want. They want state people in federal court doing it. That's what they want. Yeah, so, did I enjoy this article? Not really. I think you suck. And then here's even Fox News. Top federal prosecutor who exposed massive $250 million Minnesota fraud case steps down from position. Let's see here.
Well, moments ago, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz saying that he is responsible for any fraud that happens in his state at a news conference about Minnesota's paid family and medical leave program.
The buck stops with me on this, and that is absolutely true, but I want to be very clear on this too. If the buck stops with me on when there's problems, the buck stops with me on successes.
Walz is facing growing calls to resign over the scandal in his state, a day after he announced he was dropping his re-election campaign. Alexis McAdams is live. She's been watching all of this from Minnesota. She's in St. Paul with more. Hi, Alexis.
Hi, John. It's cold here in Minnesota, but the White House is trying to turn up the heat here on Governor Tim Walz as they're looking into lots of allegations of fraud.
Yep, lots of allegations of fraud. Well, that's not what I thought it was, so we're going to go back. And so there's, the lead federal prosecutor helped uncover the massive fraud in Minnesota. I mean, why did it take so long? He was acting U.S. attorney after being appointed by Trump, but he led the office until Daniel Rosen took over as U.S. attorney in October. It's been a complete honor and a privilege to represent the United States. So, A.G. Bondi warns Minnesota protesters after the ICE shooting, do not test our resolve. Well, sounds like that's going to be another story that we're going to want to look into. So, let's do this one. So Trump says Minnesota officials will face day of reckoning amid the protests. It would still be a federal judge ruling on it, and they would have to get past him. Odds are it wouldn't go past that. But you never know. You never know. And why? That's not how you're supposed to work, though. You're not supposed to let that shit happen. You're really not. President Trump on Tuesday warned that state officials in Minnesota would face a day of reckoning and retribution and said that demon rats have weaponized the shooting of a woman for political gain. Do the people of Minnesota really want to live in a community in which there are thousands of already convicted murderers, drug dealers, addicts, rapists, violent released and escaped prisoners, dangerous people from foreign mental institutions and insane asylums, and other deadly criminals too dangerous to even mention? Trump wrote on social media. Hey, it was Zillian, great to see you. He added, fear not, great people of Minnesota, the day of reckoning and retribution is coming. Also blaming state demon rat officials for the recent unrest in the state, the president did not provide more clear details in his post. Over the past several days, Minneapolis has faced protests and riots after an ICE officer fatally shot terrorist Renee Good. They accused her of being a domestic terrorist. I think I can call her a terrorist. That's what they said. So, the government classified her as a domestic terrorist. So, I guess I could say that, right? Who federal officials said weaponized her SUV against the agent. Well, I'll say she weaponized. I saw it with my own eyes, and it's my opinion that she committed an act of domestic terrorism trying to run him over. So there you go. Video footage of the incident showed the woman apparently lurching her, now it's just lurching her vehicle toward the agent, who then opened fire. She struck the agent. What is this? The Epoch Times is saying this? What? Man, what are you doing? White House officials have said the ICE agent was acting in self-defense, while local demon rats say the incident shows ICE had gone too far. Yeah, you're arresting criminals. You've gone too far. Minnesota Tim Waltz said that apparently he likes tampons. Minnesota voted against him 3 times, and now he's punishing us. He's president of the whole United States. You think if you vote against a president that the president doesn't, like the federal government doesn't have authority over the state, doesn't have sovereignty over the state? I mean, what is with these people? The state of Minnesota and Illinois sued Trump on Monday and now seeking to block the surge of enforcement in their states, naming Kristi Noem and other U.S. immigration officials in the lawsuit. Department of Homeland Security has accused Minnesota Attorney General of prioritizing politics over public safety, saying he was part of the sanctuary state after the Justice Department placed Minnesota on a list of jurisdictions that say impede enforcement of federal immigration laws, because they do. I mean, the fact that the Supreme Court or someone else hasn't stepped in to do something to stop this shit and say, you cannot pass laws to try and stop federal enforcement of federal laws. It doesn't work that way. How much bad faith can you pump into one article? Obviously a lot. And horse semen too. Yes, he really likes that. For years, these corrupt activist politicians have refused to protect Minnesotans and are now proposing illegal actions to keep their stranglehold on control and continue to steal from American citizens. We will root out this rampant fraud. We will arrest the criminal aliens that are hurting Americans with impunity, and we will hold those who aid and abet this criminality accountable. Yeah, suing Trump for making the state follow federal law is really a waste of time and money. You would think that sanctions would be applicable. Trump administration has deployed federal law enforcement officers in several cities and states largely governed by Democrats. Why is that? They only have to send them there because they're sanctuaries and they won't cooperate, so they have to go and search for the people. La Raza says it's crystal clear the highest levels of government in Minnesota, including the mayor of Minneapolis, are insurrectionists. Their incitement against the feds is unbelievable. Yes, I agree with that totally. I think invoke the Insurrection Act and start arresting them. They think it's all a video game and fake. That's why after it happened, the other lesbian screamed, why did you have real bullets? What did you think it was going to be, fake bullets? In an interview Sunday, Noem said additional agents will be sent to Minnesota this week. We're sending more officers today and tomorrow. They'll arrive. There'll be hundreds more in order to allow our ICE and Border Patrol individuals that are working in Minneapolis to do it safely. Send in the Marines. That's what I would do. Send in the Marines. Great to see you, Lady Bama. Thanks for being here. AG Bondi warns Minnesotan protesters after the shooting, don't test our resolve. Pam Bondi warned protesters in Minnesota that while peaceful demonstrations are protected under the First Amendment, obstructing or attacking federal law enforcement will result in arrests and prosecution. Trump should veto every dollar being sent to Minnesota and other sanctuary states until they repeal that status. Yeah. Obstructing, impeding, or attacking federal law enforcement is a federal crime. Yeah, I saw a story. I didn't really have it. I saw a story about some other guy, another guy that works at Target who they're trying to say, oh, he's a U.S. citizen. He was attacked, arrested, blah, 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 blah. And it's like he threw a punch at ICE. The Border Patrol guy was trying to walk into the Target, and he's filming him. He kept walking in front of him. The guy tries to get around him. He jumps in front of him and throws a punch. That's a freaking felony, man. You can't do that. If you cross the red line, you'll be arrested. Don't test our resolve. Yeah, Bondi's saying that is as bad as Harris saying just don't. Yeah, it's nuts. Let your actions speak louder than your meaningless words. The threat comes after dozens of people gathered in mini Somalia to protest the death of domestic terrorist Renee Good, who was shot by an immigration and custom enforcement officer while trying to run him over with her car. Video showed a large group of people standing together in a circle. Oh, so it's a giant circle jerk. And a makeshift memorial in the snow. At least until they provide documentation of the services rendered. Yeah. They're saying ICE went into a school and grabbed kids. Yeah. No, I don't know. Video from Thursday morning painted a different picture as some people faced off with federal law enforcement outside the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. Fox News captured footage of officers pushing people back and appearing to take several people into custody. Yeah. Department of Homeland Security did not immediately respond to Fox's request for update of the number of arrests in Minnesota. One man is seen in the crowd carrying an American flag upside down while others stood with signs. Rest in power, Renee, one handwritten sign placed among the flowers said, yeah. You can't shoot us all. Well, everyone who tries to run somebody over with their car, guess what? Probably going to end up getting shot. You know. Yeah. Waltz is still preparing the National Guard. Yeah. Lewis has never been at war with federal government. The shooting of Good, a citizen, has intensified division in Capitol Hill as lawmakers clash over the Trump administration's immigration policy. This had nothing to do with immigration policy. It had to do with someone who thinks that you can impede, assault, or stop. I mean, what if they were doing this to the U.S. Marshals that were going to execute warrants on wanted criminals? What if they were doing this to FBI agents who were tracking terrorists? What if they were doing this to DEA agents trying to arrest, drug dealers? What if they were doing this? It doesn't matter what the agency is. It's still federal law. They're enforcing federal law. They're federal law enforcement. You can't interfere, impede. You can't. So, yeah, look at that face. Yeah, see? See? FAFO, baby. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said Good was trying to weaponize her vehicle. She was, we saw it, and attempted to run over law enforcement before she was shot. Yeah. Mayor Jacob Amasomalian Frey and Governor Tampon Tim Walz condemned the shooting, and they dispute the government's version. Oh, yeah, because just like Orwell said, the party will make you fucking deny what you see with your own eyes. I figured they were lying about them entering school. All they do is lie. I will memorialize her by peeing her name in the snow. Well, they were shooting fireworks at ICE today. Now what, Pam? Yeah. The state will ensure there's a full, fair, and expeditious investigation. No, you won't. Minnesota Public Schools on a website that was canceling classes. Well, here's a question. How could they go into a school when the schools are all closed? Make that make sense. Got this story. This was a little late coming in, so I had already done my prep and stuff, so that's why these are like this. They were a little late coming in. Minneapolis duo details their ICE detention, including pressure to rat on protest organizers. They're not protests. They're criminal conspirators that are conspiring to impede and interfere with ICE. So on Sunday, Brandon Siguenza and Patty O'Keefe, a relative of Patio Furniture, I demand answers. Is the dog okay? My dog, or you're the dog in the whatever. Always great to hang out here. Where was all the outrage when Obama was housing children in cages and Biden was flying them around in the dead of night, losing track of them? Yeah. Well, no, remember the whole, Obama built the cages and then Trump got accused of putting kids in the cages that Obama already had there. It's nuts. It's nuts. In the Honda. Oh, as far as I know, the dog's okay. They were taken into a federal facility in the edge of Minneapolis and released. Well, here's the thing. They were released because they're going to be indicted. That's what happens. That's what always happens. They have to go to a grand jury and get an indictment. That's how the feds operate. They're going to get an indictment. DHS and ICE have launched a renewed enforcement crackdown, saying it's produced thousands of arrests, while observers note the tactics mirrors those used in Los Angeles, Chicago, and New Orleans. You mean the tactics of arresting criminal illegal aliens? People that break the law? The dead person's dog. Yeah, I know. As far as I know, I think the dog's all right. I haven't heard anything about it. Inside the facility, they were held in small adjacent cells reserved for U.S. citizens. Each 10 foot by 10 foot. That's a huge cell. That's 100 square feet. Surveillance, and that's bigger than most New York City apartments. And said, they say routine phone, water, and bathroom requests were denied. But they say so routine, so they were probably asking every 10 minutes, I want to use the phone. I want water. I want this. They're probably no, you got to make a phone call. You got to use the bathroom 20 minutes ago. Or maybe, I can't believe there wasn't water and bathrooms in the cells. Good's dog was taken home by the wife. The ACLU, the Anti-American Anti-Civil Liberties Organization, has filed a lawsuit alleging immigration officers surveilled activists. Oh, yeah, you close your eyes, don't see what they're doing, and violated their First Amendment rights. There's no First Amendment rights to commit crimes. Sorry. Advocates warn that detention could chill citizen observers. There's one thing to observe. Nobody's arrested for observing. They're arrested for interfering, impeding, assaulting, resisting, all these things that are crimes. The Democrats never get any outrage. Yeah, because it's D for different. So we'll read a little bit of the story before we get to the next one. Minneapolis duo details their ICE detention, including pressure to rat on protest organizers. Two Minneapolis residents who have been monitoring immigration officers during the Trump administration's crackdown say they were detained without charges for several hours in distressing conditions. A 10 by 10 cell alone is distressing? Wow. Pressure to rat on protest organizers and people living in the country illegally. Accusations leveled by Brandon Seguenza and Patty O'Keefe, a relative of Patio Furniture. Federal officers are using roving patrols, warrantless arrests. Oh, roving patrols, yes. Texas has spraying chemical irritants, breaking car windows, and recording protesters. Wait a minute. So they're upset. They went to court and demanded that all these people wear body cams and have recordings, but now they're getting mad because you're recording them. See the thing? We want you to record us, but only when we say we want you to record us, not when we're breaking the law. Don't record us committing crimes. Only record us when... What? It's crazy. Hey, Kelly, what's up? Great to see you. Thanks for being here. According to the organizers and the ACLU, who are a bunch of fucking liars, immigration officers have been surveilling activists who have been observing their activities in the Twin Cities. If you're following around, interfering, impeding, recording, doing stuff, yeah, they're going to surveil you back. Why? Maybe are these people legally surveilling the police? Maybe. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Said the immigration officer who questioned him offered money and legal protection if he gave up the name of the organizers or neighbors who are in the country illegally. That's a man or a woman? I don't know. I can't tell the difference. Patty O'Keefe. At one point, the officer said in vague terms that it looks like I'm in trouble and he could possibly help me out. DHS, who oversees ICE, didn't immediately respond for request of comment. Well, if I was a betting man, I would place my wager that these people will be indicted in the coming days for whatever crime they committed for them to be detained. That's what I would suggest. I do want to point out that we are 1 hour and 20 minutes into the show. We are currently $35 away from Bellavision, $85 away from the first additional hour. They were among an unknown number of Twin City residents observing. and they were detained Sunday while following ICE officers who were driving around making arrests. The officer stopped in front of O'Keefe's cars, pepper sprayed through her windshield vent, and smashed her car windows even though the doors were unlocked. Oh. Agents mocked her looks and laughed at her, saying they brought up the killings of Good. Oh. Wow. Oh, so maybe this person's just making this all up. I don't know. O'Keefe said the officer who sprayed through her car threatened, saying obstructing their work was how Good got killed. Already an hour flew by. Yeah, an hour and 20 flew by. It's very clear that they were just trying to humiliate me and break me down. Oh. Okay. Did it work? They said their arrest was taken in separate unmarked SUVs to a highly restricted federal facility on the edge of Minneapolis. They were put in adjacent cells reserved for U.S. citizens, one for men, the other for women. Each cell was also being used for other detainees. It was no larger than 10 by 10. It had a concrete bench, a flat screen TV, two-way mirror, and a surveillance camera. Oh, my God. What else do you want? On the way to the cells, they saw the detainees who were screaming and wailing for help, though most were dejectedly staring at the ground, they said. In one instance, they observed a woman who was trying to use the toilet while 3 male agents watched. The overwhelming majority of detainees were Hispanic men, though some were East African. Minnesota is home to the largest smelly community. Just hearing the visceral pain of the people in the center was awful. Oh, my God. It's brutal. It was very surreal. Said one of his cellmates had a cut on his head and the other had an injured toe. Neither were offered medical help. Oh. I wonder, was that the toe? I heard the toe was at the protest. Maybe it was the toe at the protests. The requests to go for water and go to the bathroom outside their cells were also ignored. So there was toilets in the cells, see? There's a toilet in the cell, and they said, we don't want to use this toilet in the cell. We want to use the toilet out of the cell. And they go, no. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, sounds like a fable to me. Me too. They were able to speak with lawyers, but only someone was allowed to make a call, and he called his wife. Well, how did they speak to the lawyers if they... Said they offered him money and legal protection in a separate room, but he said he refused the offer. O'Keefe, they have shared the story widely, were let go by evening without charges. Once they left the facility, were hit again with chemical agents officers were using on protesters in the area. So when they're indicted then, can we say, we were not charged with the crime, we were released and then tear gassed on our way out. The conditions at the ICE detention facility around the country have been the subject of complaints, including a lawsuit over the one that served the Chicago area's operation held that resulted in a judge oversight visit in order to improve conditions. Well, you know what? They would probably have a better chance of keeping things nice there if there weren't people constantly protesting and riots and shit happening. DHS has defended the conditions of the facility, saying detainees are fed and their medical concerns are addressed, and they've trumpeted the success of the ICE crackdowns. It says these people claim that their detention was meant to intimidate them. No, it was meant because you broke the law. I mean, you can make the argument that all detentions are meant to intimidate people to stop committing crimes, assholes. Yeah. I say F them. They need to stop complaining. U.S. citizens and non-citizens' rights differ slightly in immigration detention than in criminal detention, according to Leon Pearson, immigration attorney. But detainees retain basic rights, including access to counsel, and food, water, and phone, and privacy from the opposite gender when using the bathroom. Maybe they didn't ask the gender, Miss Sarah Raza. Look at, we're being infiltrated. Look at this. Sounds to me like someone is getting paying interviews with the media. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like to me too. We got this, which I'm very troubled by this whole headline here. It says, whistleblower leaks personal data on 4,500 ICE agents. That's not a whistleblower. A whistleblower is not somebody who releases private and personal data. That's not a whistleblower. That's a criminal. It's not a whistleblower. A whistleblower reveals like stuff that's not supposed to be happening. Not this. So calling this a whistleblower. You know, a DHS whistleblower provided Dominic Skinner, founder of the ICE list, with personal data of close to 4,500 federal agents and employees. That's not a whistleblower, Ground News. Like, Ground News, I'm starting to really think maybe something's wrong with you. ICE list launched in June last year amid the Trump administration enforcement to push and drew 1 million views in October. The site's run by 3 people and uses artificial intelligence to verify and confirm identities. While Skinner said not all information is published, exempting childcare workers and nurses. What? That's media spin, Jim. Yeah, I know. DHS warned that there's an 8,000% increase in threats and almost 1,400% rise in assaults. Yeah, so let's see here. I'm going to double check, see if there's anything new. Any new stories here? So let's see. Whistleblower allegedly leaks personal info. That's not a whistleblower. Why are you calling it a whistleblower? What is the ICE list? Whistleblower leaks personal data. That's not a whistleblower. I mean, how are you calling this a whistleblower, man? It's really upsetting to me. It's really, really upsetting to me that you're calling this a whistleblower. And a whistleblower needs to be arrested. Yes. Yeah. Whistleblower allegedly leaks personal info and addresses of over 4,000 ICE and Border Patrol agents to ICE list. Yeah, whoever did this is a felon. According to an exclusive by the Daily Beast, that's like saying go to their houses and get them. Yeah. Yeah. DHS covers a ton of things from ICE, FEMA, and even to the Coast Guard. The Department of Homeland Security whistleblower leaked personal information and sensitive details about 4,500 agents. Sensitive details about 4,500 ICE and Border Patrol employees, including almost 2,000 agents working in frontline enforcement, have been released by a Department of Homeland Security whistleblower. That's not a whistleblower. So you could be a secretary, a stenographer, an interpreter, and maybe you're a target of left-wing crazies who want anyone involved with ICE. It's absolutely nothing to do with integrity or sound thinking. This is weather underground-style terrorism. Except it's not bombs or guns, it's digital exposure. It will not end well. Yeah, this guy, Skinner, needs to be arrested. The founder, who lives in the Netherlands and hosts his servers outside the U.S. in order to escape our scrutiny, said he would be releasing names on Tuesday evening. Okay. Department of Homeland Security now lives at a protective location because her home information was publicly released. However, Nome has Secret Service detail. This Nimrod is exposing innocent people who have no such protections, nor do they necessarily have anything to do with enforcement. Yet Skinner is cavalier about the prospect of the chaos this will cause. Well, where's he live? The Netherlands. Well, I'm pretty sure the Netherlands is a member of NATO, and they're also a part of the EU. And the EU has all types of laws about releasing personal, private information like this. So maybe. Yeah, the headline should lead, traitor leaker releases ICE hit list. Yeah, it's a war to them. It is. Yes. So Skinner plans to release the majority of the names and addresses. Okay. It's guns and bombs also. There were just 3 people shot a couple miles from me, and they thought it was ICE agents in the van. Really? So you put thousands of federal employees and agents as well as their families in danger for one foolish woman who made a fatal mistake of driving her vehicle at law enforcement? No. Into hit a law enforcement officer. Looks like somebody is leaking or going to leak thousands of names of officers to the Daily Beast. Asshole founder Dominic Skinner claims they will release him tomorrow. If he's not already, FBI Pash Patel needs to get on this. Definitely needs to get on it. Definitely needs to get on this. So let's jump to the next story. Supreme Court leans towards backing state restrictions on transgender student athletes. Yes, the Supreme Court is going to rule that women's sports is for women only, which I do have.
And Idaho.
We're going to play this, and then I got some other stuff.
The Supreme Court today hearing a pair of landmark cases that could allow states to ban transgender students from playing in girls' sports. Laura Jarrett was following the arguments, and Laura, this decision is obviously going to have a major impact.
Tom, this is one of the biggest cases of the term. The justices now confronting a question they haven't actually answered before on state laws in West Virginia and Idaho that require participation on sports teams to be based on a student's biological sex at birth. That's something that the states argue is needed to make sure that girls aren't being disadvantaged. And the questions from the court today on the conservative side suggesting they are simply unwilling to say that these sports bans now found in more than half of states nationwide violate the Constitution's promise for equal treatment, emphasizing that federal law allows separate sports teams for boys and girls, and that this is an issue best left to the political process, Tom.
All right, Laura, we thank you for that.
Definitely.
The explosive moment caught on camera.
Definitely. So, Yeah. The Supreme Court on Tuesday appeared likely to uphold state laws that ban transgender athletes from taking part in girls' and women's sports. The court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority, heard more than 3 hours of oral arguments in separate cases involving 2 transgender students. And both won lower court injunctions that allow them to continue to compete in sports. Oh, what do you know? So lower courts that were wrong. They said they wouldn't make a ruling until summer. Wake up, people. You can't just be friends with them. They want you dead. I was sad the ACLU didn't go to the tranny lawyer that argued the other case so effectively for our side. Would have been more entertaining. Yeah. So during the arguments, we're going to get into it right here. We have some stuff here. Do this. All right. Breaking attorney expertly pummels SCOTUS Justice Ketanji Jackson's argument in favor of men and women's sports in the name of transgender rights. But are they being prevented from playing on the team that matches their gender identity? What is a gender identity? Just something anyone can make up at any time. That's the effect. So let me use your example from earlier. You said there's a cisgender woman. She can play on the team she wants. There's a boy who identifies as a girl. He can't play on the teams he wants. Take that same boy and he switches his gender identity, but say he still wanted to play on the girls' team. Say he's a very unathletic boy. He likely could not play on the team. So it's not the gender identity that's keeping him off the girls' team. It's his biological sex. His gender identity is wholly irrelevant.
But they are being prevented from playing on the team that matches their gender identity, correct?
That's the effect. So let me use your example from earlier. You said there's a cisgender woman, she could play on the team she wants.
Right.
There's a boy who identifies as a girl, he can't play on the team he wants. Take that same boy and switch his gender identity, but say he still wanted to play on the girls' team. Say he was a very unathletic boy. He likewise couldn't play on the team. So it's not the gender identity that's keeping him off the girls' team, it's his biological sex. His gender identity is wholly irrelevant to it. Now, I agree with you, there's a very significant disparate impact on transgender individuals by this law because they're the boys who are most likely to want to play.
Have we said that Title IX never covers that kind of disparate impact in terms of its discriminatory effect?
Well, it certainly doesn't cover disparate. First of all, I don't think Title IX covers disparate impact, period, because it uses.
But in terms of its discriminatory effect, I'm just trying to understand it. Is there something to this notion that that differential treatment in effect in this way could be something that Title IX cares about?
I don't think Title IX covers disparate impact even on the basis of sex, and it certainly doesn't cover disparate impact on the basis of gender identity.
Okay.
And then we have, let me do this real quick here. Let's do this one. Holy smokes, SCOTUS Justice Sam Alito asked the ACLU, what is a man and a woman? And they don't have a definition. Yeah, all of a sudden she's a biologist now. She knows what gender is totally irrelevant. Yeah. Alito's response is perfect. What does it mean to be a man or a woman? We don't have a definition for the court. How can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means?
Girls.
Yes, Your Honor.
If it does that, then is it not necessary for there to be, for equal protection purposes, if that is challenged under the Equal Protection Clause, an understanding of what it means to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that definition for equal protection purposes? What does it mean to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Sorry, I misunderstood your question. I think that the underlying enactment, whatever it was, the policy, the law, we'd have to have an understanding of how the state or the government was understanding that term to figure out whether or not someone was excluded. We do not have a definition for the court. And we don't take issue with we're not disputing the definition here. What we're saying is that the way it applies in practice is to exclude birth-sex males categorically from women's teams, and that there's a subset of those birth-sex males where it doesn't make sense to do so according to the state's own interest.
Well, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes?
I think here we just know that we basically know that that they've identified pursuant to their own statute, Lindsay qualifies as a birth-sex male, and she's being excluded categorically from the women's teams as the statute. So we're taking the statute's definitions as we find them, and we don't dispute them.
What? So they're not being discriminated against for being trans. They're being discriminated against because there's Title IX, which separates men and women's sports. It says there has to be separate sports for them. Yeah, we know it when we see it. Just imagine how crazy it will be when the Dems take back control in 28. Yeah, well, if the Dems take back control. Yeah, it's easy. Chicks don't have dicks. Yes. We can't let that happen, Chooch. We can't. Thank you, Chooch. Delay is obvious. Yeah, great to see it, too. She's a biologist now. It's crazy, isn't it? Isn't it just nuts? Do boys menstruate? This is not a trick question. Absolutely insane moment. Yeah, hopefully you pointed out her idiotic logic. Yeah, definitely. And then so we'll read this story from Reuters before we jump into a couple other things. U.S. Supreme Court conservatives lean towards allowing transgender sports bans. Yeah. Challengers say the ban violates the Constitution and Title IX. Arguments involve laws passed in West Virginia and Idaho. Conservatives just signaled sympathy towards the laws. Well, I mean, it's not banning transgender students. It's saying that, no, people that were born boys are always boys, and they're going to be boys. You can't change your sex, and the definitions are by sex. Your gender identity has nothing to do with it. It's sexual, your sex. There's only two sexes, men or woman. That's it. Two biological sexes. You can't change that. So your gender, you want to change the words and call it gender. Well, oh well. The justice heard more than 3 hours of arguments in appeals from Idaho and West Virginia. Decisions by the lower court sided with the trans students who challenged the bans as violating the Constitution. Oh, well, if that's true, then the entire Title IX, all that stuff is all unconstitutional then. Because what difference does it make if you could just say, I am a woman? So, like, I could just go say, I'm a 19-year-old woman now. I want to be on the women's volleyball team at this college. Obviously, one of the great successes in America over the last 50 years has been the growth of women's and girls' sports, and it's inspiring, says Brett Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh noted that the federal government in certain states, NCAA governing body for colleges, and the Olympic Committee think that allowing trans women and girls to participate will undermine or reverse that amazing success and will create unfairness. Alan Hurst, Idaho's Solicitor General, arguing for the state, also touched on that issue. If women don't have their own competitions, they won't be able to compete. Idaho's laws classify on the basis of sex because sex is what matters in sports. It correlates strongly with the countless athletic advantages like size, muscle mass, bone density, heart, and lung capacity. Wider repercussions. Oh, yes. This case could have wider repercussions for trans people and affect whether other measures targeting them in public sphere, including military service, bathroom access, treatment in classrooms, can be enforced. You just say it's all based on sex, not gender. You said you changed your gender, so good for you, but we're basing everything on sex. Greg McNeely says, pray for Washingtonians. We're losing our parental rights, and the transformers are invading our girls' and women's spaces. The Idaho and West Virginia laws designate sports teams at public schools, including universities, according to biological sex, and bar students of the male sex from female athletic teams. The states also said that the laws preserve fairness and safe competition for women and girls. Gender identity does not matter in sports, and that's what Idaho's law does not classify on the basis of gender identity. It treats all males equally and all females equally, regardless of identity. And its purpose is exactly what the state legislature said, preserving women's equal opportunity. Do other countries have this nonsense? What will the Olympics look like? Supposedly the Olympics have already said no to this, like that no trans. Hey, low watermark for 10 says Jim is all about the sex. Thank you so much, low watermark. And with that 10, that means we are now just $75 away from the first additional hour of the show and just 25 away from Bellavision. Just 25 away from Bellavision for the evening. Yes. Thank you so much, low watermark. I love sex also. Yes. The challengers argued these measures discriminate on the individual's sex or status as a transgender person. The last Olympics were all screwed up. Supposedly this Olympics has changed. And it's a violation of the 14th Amendment. Really? It's undisputed that states may separate their sports team based on sex in the light of real biological differences. States may equally apply that valid sex-based rule to biological males who self-identify as female, said the Justice Department lawyer Hashim Mumpan. Denying a special accommodation to trans-identifying individuals does not discriminate on the basis of sex or gender identity or deny equal protection. All that remains true, even assuming a man could take drugs and eliminate his sexual-based physiological advantages. West Virginia Solicitor General, arguing for the state, called the challenge a backdoor attack on Title IX. The challenger to his state law says that West Virginia schools can no longer designate teams by looking to biological sex. Instead, schools must place students on sports teams based on their self-identified gender. But that idea turns Title IX, a law Congress passed to protect educational opportunities for girls, into a law that actually denies those opportunities for girls. The court should not embrace this backwards logic. The plaintiffs contend the use of puberty blockers or gender-affirming hormones by trans students should matter regarding the states can lawfully apply these bans. Yeah, right now the Olympics are 3 weeks away and they don't have a finished hockey arena and built the ice sheet to the wrong size. Well, go figure. You need to watch Eddie Hall on the women's strongest competition recently. Yeah. I mean, basically South Park, that's why I don't understand. South Park called all this shit out years ago, but now they're like flipped the script and they went to the other side. It's weird. Defenders of the ban say such advantages remain despite medical treatments. Yeah. In short, male athletes who take performance-altering drugs are not similarly situated to female athletes, and the states need not treat them the same. Representative for the plaintiff who challenged Idaho law say her client mitigated the competitive advantage through the use of testosterone suppressants and estrogen, eliminating the ban's justification. That's not true, because if you went through puberty, you have all the advantages built in. Justice Alito asked Hartnett to address some of the concerns expressed about trans women athletes. There's a lot of female athletes who are strongly opposed to participation by trans athletes. What do you say about them? Are they bigots? Are they deluded in thinking they are subject to unfair competition? He duped everyone, and they're hoping they revoke his win. South Park sold out, Jim. The court in 2020 delivered a landmark ruling protecting trans people from workplace discrimination under a different law called Title VII. That contains wording similar to Title IX. Conservative Justice Neil Gorsuch, who authored the decision, questioned Hearst's claim that Idaho law does not classify people by transgender status. In the area's immigration and family law statutes involving cross-dressing a laundry list. There's been some discrimination against trans people, significant discrimination against trans people in the history of this country. The same could be said about many groups. Hearst noted, for example, that the women and black people in the past were barred from voting or property ownership, and said that discrimination questions raised in the current trans case, things don't compare, they're just not alike. A lousy conservative Justice Clarence Thomas wondered if any difference between trans plaintiffs seeking a lousy male tennis player who wants to try out for the women's team, who says there is no way I'm better than the women's tennis players. It's not at all different, Hearst replied. Some of the justices focus on how the Idaho law treats people differently, whether based on sex or their status, and whether it would require the court to be more skeptical, review reasons expressed by the states for adopting such measures, a form of judicial review called intermediate scrutiny. There's no question that a male who identifies as female but is a male is being excluded from a female sport, said Sotomayor to Wise Latina. By its nature, that's a sex classification, and all sex classifications, we have said repeatedly in our case law, require intermediate scrutiny. Supreme Court last year, in a case from Tennessee, let states ban gender-affirming medical treatment for minor. It also let Trump ban transgender people from the military and bar passport applicants from selecting sex reflecting their gender identity. Yeah, so South Park sold out once they went into Mexican food. Since returning to office last year, Trump has cast gender identity of transgender people as a lie and issued multiple executive orders to limit the rights, including one involving sports participation. The West Virginia challenge was brought by Becky Pepper Jackson and her mother. She competes in shot put and discus in high school. Oh. Idaho challenge was brought by Lindsay Hecox, a Boise State University student who has previously participated in soccer and running clubs at the public university. He's got a cox, has decided to quit playing sports and sought to dismiss the case in part due to fear of harassment and growing intolerance. No, they probably want to dismiss the case because they don't want the precedent to get set. They don't want to lose and have it set. That's probably why they want to dismiss it. A ruling is expected by the end of June. End of June. The end of June. So we got this story. Trump administration ends temporary protected status for all the smellies in the U.S. Yeah, Jim. South Park's lawyers are the same as Hunter Biden's. Yes. Yeah, the South and their friend, the lawyer guy that did all this stuff, financed Hunter Biden, did all these things, let Hunter Biden stay in his house and paid his rent, and we're doing all this stuff, is Matt Stone and Trey Parker's attorney and friend. He was like part of like a producer and stuff on the shows. So, who wants to play on women's sports anyway? A bunch of losers. Trump administration is ending TPS status for the smellies living in the U.S. Those smellies have been living in the U.S. under TPS, required to go back to their country. Yeah, it's a big boom. Big boom. It's ridiculous that we even have to have this discussion. It is. They're required to go back starting in March of this year. Temporary means temporary, says Chrissy Noam. Country conditions in Somalia have improved to the point it's no longer meets the law's requirement for TPS. Yeah, all that money they stole and sent back to Somalia, now it's good. Go back there. Enjoy. Live on the money you stole off of us, but do it back there, not here. Further, allowing smellies to remain in the U.S. is contrary to our national interests. We are putting Americans first. There are 2,471 smellies living in the U.S. with TPS, and there's also 1,383 in the country with pending TPS applications. The move from the Trump administration comes as ICE is carrying out surged immigration enforcement operations in Minnesota amid the fallout of a widespread scandal in the state. The issue, although it's been developing for some time, was highlighted by the viral report from independent reporter Nick Shkreli, who went to Minnesota to undercover fraud at the daycare centers, many of them being run by smelly population. Roughly $9 billion in fraud have plagued the state. Caps lock, exactly. Oh yeah, green caps lock, no shit. Yeah, they are smellies. Yes, they are. There are around 600 smellies with TPS status living in Minnesota, and the country of Smelia was granted TPS in 91 when there was an ongoing civil war in the nation. Yeah, it's funny. Smellies attacked us and killed a bunch of Americans in Black Hawk Down, and we give them protected status. Wow. And Minnesota was letting tons of refugees in gets us what we know the result of the experiment. Yeah, that's right, smellies. The move to end TPS comes a few days after Minneapolis-St. Paul sued Trump for launching a surge of ICE. We allege that the obvious targeting of Minnesota for our diversity, for your illegal aliens, that's what we're targeting, for our democracy, and for our difference of opinions with the federal government. You have a different opinion of the Constitution and whether or not you have to follow it. The Constitution is the supreme law in the land. Federal law is supreme to your state laws. So there's that. So there's that. Trump administration ends TPS for thousands of smellies living in the U.S. Oh, and of course, go figure, the smellies oppose. The smellies oppose the Trump administration ending it.
New tonight here at 5, Minnesota's Somali community is coming together to oppose President Trump's proposal to end temporary protected status for some people.
And our Leon Purvis joins us tonight from Carmel Mall. And so, Leon, what has the reaction been at that gathering there tonight?
Well, Kelsey, so young, Carmel Mall is the heart of the Somali community, and people came out here in support of one another. And this area was packed with both Somalis and people coming out in support. Now, on Friday, President Trump said that he would immediately.
They're calling this a mall. This is a fucking storage facility with little storage lockers, and they're calling it a mall. Now, that's weird considering that Minneapolis, right? Minneapolis-St. Paul is the home of the Mall of the Americas, the largest mall in the world. But they're calling this a mall. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Bella is scratching. For all the people that thought she's not real, look at her scratching her ear. She's alive and moving.
terminate temporary deportation protections from Somalis living in Minnesota, blaming them for fraud in Minnesota. There are currently 500 Somalis in Minnesota living with these protections and a total of 700 nationwide. Many expect this to be challenged in court, but in the meantime, Somalis here say they are fearful of what's to come.
People are fearful. People are always going to be fearful. But we're telling our people we're greater than their fear. We have resilience. We're people that are brave. And at the same time, our people see this as a distraction to the real issue. What the president is doing is un-American. It's not Minnesotan.
Now, the Protected Status Program for Somalis was launched in 1991 by President George H.W. Bush, and it grants protections to eligible people who can't return to their homeland safely due to civil war or natural disasters. Now, coming up tonight on Fox 9 at 9, a full breakdown of community reaction. We're live in Minneapolis. Leon Purvis, Fox 9.
Wow. Okay. So the Trump administration is ending TPS for Somalias, affecting several thousand Somalis currently living in the U.S. TPS means temporary. Sources at UC Digital said there's 2,471 Somalis currently living in the U.S. under TPS. So that's good, right? Get rid of them. Yeah. Trump administration ends TPS for Somalis. All right. Yes, we're going to do this story, and then I'm going to jump into reading some bookmark stuff. So, unappetizing. It's the mall of fraud, Jim. I get it. So we got Wisconsin right now. Sarah Rodriguez unleashes sweeping attack on ICE and Wisconsin law enforcement. Yeah, Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, who is running as a Democrat for governor, unleashed a sweeping attack against U.S. and Custom Enforcement Agency on Monday, introducing a plan that, if implemented, would endanger the lives and make it harder to arrest criminals and subject officers to damaging lawfare. In my research, I just watched The Pirates of Somalia on Pluto. It makes them look like a poor, pathetic, victim-filled country. My takeaway, they are all criminals. Somalia is a disaster. Supposedly it's all better now. They housing boom and everything. Rodriguez, who is a very low key as lieutenant governor without any significant accomplishments, called on Wisconsin legislatures, county officials, mayors, and local councils to take immediate action to make it harder for ICE to arrest illegal immigrants. Well, that would be a crime. To make it harder. That's to impede the law. This is just the start of Rodriguez's wholesale attack on the agency, who came in the wake of a shooting of Renee Good, an anti-ICE agitator, domestic terrorist, who drove into an agent after defying orders. Do we care about this? Care about what? You're talking about Wisconsin wanting to go off, and when you see what she wants to do, her plan goes far beyond the one case and amounts to a wholesale attack on the agency. If implemented, her plan would dramatically hinder the agency's ability to get illegal immigrants who commit crimes out of Wisconsin. They have no authority to do this. This is insane. So here's some examples. This is a criminal. So these are examples of the criminals in Wisconsin. In Fond du Lac, legal immigrants were accused of conspiring to rape a 12-year-old girl. In Fitchburg, a Honduran citizen was accused of repeatedly raping a 6-year-old. In Milwaukee, an illegal immigrant was accused of killing a Special Olympian with an horrific drug and drunk driving crash, injuring his elderly parents. Also, in Oconto County, an illegal immigrant was accused of killing a retired police officer. There were 21 non-citizens in Milwaukee County Jail in a snapshot last spring. They were being held on offensive ranging for first-degree homicide, weapons offenses, and sexual assaults of a child. Of course, Smelly is rebuilding again and again and again. It's from U.S. taxpayers, yes. There are many other examples. Rodriguez is trying to stand out in the crowded Democrat candidate field by launching a wholesale attack on the agencies. Other Democrat candidates for Wisconsin governor have already issued extreme statements and plans attacking the agency. Mandela Barnes was previously photographed holding a Abolish ICE shirt, and Francesca Hong called ICE agents enforcers of fascism, demanding they dismantle the federal agency. Republican candidates Tom Tiffany and Josh Showman have supported law enforcement. In a press release, she also unleashed an attack on Wisconsin law enforcement officers as a whole, saying she wanted to open them up more easily to lawsuits. Federal and state and local officers currently have qualified and state-level immunity. In that passage, Rodriguez made it clear that she wasn't referring to federal officers. She called for allowing individuals to sue any officer, federal or otherwise, who knowingly violates constitutional rights, including for punitive damages. Since Mandela Barnes is trying to run from his radical record, I'm launching Mandela Mondays to remind voters who he really is. He supports abolishing ICE. That means he wants criminal aliens to stay in Wisconsin. Some of the provisions on Rodriguez's January 12th plan include forcing ICE agents to unmask themselves, which allowed them to be doxxed, harassed, and could imperil their personal safety. ICE law enforcement officers wear masks to prevent doxing. Allow people to sue ICE agents, which could open a floodgate of lawfare to destroy agents' lives, would paralyze their ability. Damn it, schedule confusion. You're supposed to be after Joe. Next, somebody will move my food ball. Well, I can't. Joe does not seem to want to schedule things at a normal time. Like, he said he moved his schedule to 6 or 7 p.m., and now all of a sudden he switched it back to going at 10:30, which I don't know. I mean, I can't stream at 1 in the morning, so it is what it is. Making much, so they want him to sue, and they want to make it much force to make arrests, including of illegal immigrants commit crimes, including in courthouses. Hey, no one should be afraid to drop off their kids at school, seek medical care, go to court, attend worship. She wants a whole list of places where the lawsuits are for alleged constitutional violations. She will allow for arrest at courthouses with just a warrant or if there's an imminent public safety. Oh, so she's not going to stop somebody about, you have that as a warrant. Yeah, okay. However, this would be drastic restriction on ICE's ability to operate. ICE officers are sworn federal law enforcement operates will operate within the confines of Section 287 of the Immigration Nationality Act. In fact, no judge in this country has the authority to issue a warrant for a civil immigration violation. Congress, by statute, vested this authority solely with supervisory immigration officials. So I have to growl and hike my leg on Joe now. Hey, Sunshine, great to see you. Well, I don't know. I mean, I can't wait around all day to see when Joe's going to stream. I'm sorry. I have to do my own thing. Local police officers don't need a warrant when they encounter someone breaking the law in a public space. The same holds true for ICE officers. Rodriguez simply tried to imply that her plan doesn't affect illegal immigrants convicted of violent crimes. If someone's convicted of violent crimes in the country unlawfully, federal law requires deportation. But we just won't let them arrest them, though. We're going to try to stop them. However, a review of the ICE detainer request for people accused of crimes in Dane County found the jail was rejecting holds on even violent criminals. Thus, those people bailed out before sentencing or weren't in jail, ICE would have less power to go get them under Rodriguez's plan. Let's be clear, ICE does not conduct patrols, raids, or sweeps. They go out and target people specifically. Our officers who uphold the law are the laws that are written by Congress. AP has it as Wisconsin governor questions his lieutenant governor's immigration enforcement proposal. Wow, what's wrong with her face? Wisconsin governor questioned whether the proposal from his own lieutenant governor to ban federal immigration enforcement around courthouses, schools, daycares, and other locations can or should be done. Democrats vying, I'm coming to this, Rodriguez's proposal Monday that civil immigration enforcement should be banned around courthouses, hospitals, health clinics, child care centers, daycare, schools, institutions of higher learning, domestic violence shelters, places of worship. Said there would be exceptions if there was a judicial warrant. Oh, how long has Jim been on? Jim's been on 2 hours already, Sunshine. I'm not sure if we have the ability to do that. Yeah, you don't. He also expressed concern about how such a move would be received by the Trump administration. You can take a look at it, but I think banning things absolutely will ramp up our actions and our folks in Washington, D.C. They don't tend to approach these things appropriately. You people are approaching things crazy. Rodriguez said Tuesday she expected Evers' position, but did not back down. Wisconsin should join other states looking to rein in federal officers. How are you going to rein in? How are you going to rein in federal officers? That's not the job of the states. That's not how this works. Holy shit. Life and Difference says, I blame Joe. He was supposed to be after watching Watchers. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Joe was just starting to build steam after, getting, raided by Gouveia, and then he just gave up on that, I guess. I don't know. Far too long, Democrats have dialed back action in hopes President Trump doesn't escalate, and that's not what happens. He always escalates. Oh, so that's what they're crying about. All right. We got this story here. U.S. Marshals are searching for the West Wing actor Timothy Busfield following the child sex abuse charges.
issued for Timothy Busfield on allegations of child sex abuse in New Mexico. The actor and director is best known for his roles in Field of Dreams and the TV shows 30-something and The West Wing.
And you want to have dinner with me? No. I'm a very good-looking guy, CJ. I mention that because not some people notice about me right away. Yes. I like seafood. I like all food.
Contact of a minor and 1 count of child abuse. The Albuquerque Police Department confirmed that its investigators are working with the U.S. Marshal Service to track down the West Wing actor's whereabouts and take him into custody in connection with the disturbing allegations. The investigation into the matter was launched in November 2024 when an officer was dispatched to the University of New Mexico Hospital after a doctor called police about suspected sexual abuse and grooming, according to court docs obtained by KOAT. An officer reportedly spoke with 2 parents who claimed that their children were actors on the Fox series The Cleaning Lady in 2024. Busfield allegedly engaged in unlawful sexual conduct with a pair of 11-year-old twins while directing the Fox show, according to an arrest warrant issued on Friday. One of the alleged victims claimed the shocking incidents first started when he and his brother were 7 years old, according to the affidavit. Although the APD initially declined to press charges against Busfield, the case was said to have been reopened in September 2025 when one of the kids told the counselor and then pediatrician that Busfield touched him on his penis and bottom, the affidavit claims. The Revenge of the Nerd star also allegedly told the kids to call him Uncle Tim and tickled them on their stomachs and legs, per the arrest warrant. Busfield, who worked on the program from 2022 to 2025 as a director, allegedly grew closer to the boys during their time shooting the show together. Busfield, meanwhile, reportedly spoke to investigators by phone in November and said it was highly likely he had physical contact with the twins while filming The Cleaning Lady. I don't remember those boys, he also said, according to the affidavit. No, I don't. I don't actually. I don't remember it if it happened. I don't remember overly tickling the boys ever, but it wouldn't be uncommon for me. During that interview with police, the 30-something alum reportedly claimed that Elodie Young, the lead actress on The Cleaning Lady, told him that the twins' mom was seeking revenge because the boys were not invited back for the show's final season. Busfield has more than 700 combined credits as an actor, producer, and director in TV and film, and married Little House on the Prairie star Melissa Gilbert in 2013. In November, Gilbert made a post on Instagram against child sex abuse after Megyn Kelly commented on convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The 61-year-old has since deleted her social media. Gilbert is not accused of any wrongdoing. The allegations against Busfield remain under investigation.
Wow. Wow. That is creepy, man. That's some sick shit. So U.S. Marshals have joined the hunt to locate Busfield after a warrant was issued for his arrest in New Mexico in connection with child sex abuse charges. Yes. Hollywood is saturated with pedophiles and have been since the beginning of the film industry. Yeah. What a perv. Yeah. Disgusting creep. Agreed, Salty. Definitely. So the Albuquerque Police Department confirmed the investigators are working with the U.S. Marshal Service to track down the West Wing actor's whereabouts and take him into custody. The Albuquerque Police Department is working with the U.S. Marshal Service to get Mr. Busfield into custody. I mean, where is he? Gallego said there is no timeline for when authorities expect to apprehend the Field of Dreams actor. The Post has reached out to the Albuquerque Police Department for comment. Busfield, 68, is wanted on 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct with a minor and 1 count of child abuse. He allegedly engaged in unlawful sexual conduct with a pair of 11-year-old twins while directing a Fox show, The Cleaning Lady, in 2024. One of the alleged victims claimed that the shocking incidents first started when he and his brother were 7 years old. The investigation into the Stripes stars... He was in Stripes? Alleged crimes kicked off... He was in Stripes? In November 2024, when the doctor and the university... I know he was in Revenge of the Nerd, but he was in Stripes? He already turned himself in? Hey, Forging Freedom, what's up? Great to see you. All right, well... investigation into Stripes stars conduct kicked off. I don't remember him from Stripes. That's him in Field of Dreams. Wow. He turned himself in a bit ago. Okay. Well, although the APD initially declined to press charges, the case is said to have been reopened in September 2025. One of the kids told his counselor and then pediatrician that Busfield touched him on his penis and bottom. So the story, it seems like the story is changing, that the story has gotten more, like, if he did any of these things, obviously wood chipper, but I don't know if maybe this could be a mother trying to get money, or it could be something else going on. I don't know. I would, he apparently spoke to investigators over the phone in November. It was highly likely physical contact while he was touching Stripes soldier with the mortar. Oh, that's right. Okay, I don't remember these boys. He said, "How can you not remember them? That doesn't sound right." During the interview with police, the 30-something alum reportedly claimed that the lead actress, the cleaning lady, told him that the twins' mom was seeking revenge because the boys were not invited back for the show's final season. Busfield has more than 700 combined credits as an actor and is known for his major role in several seasons of The West Wing. So, I don't know. Suppose people are saying he's already been arrested. It's getting harder and harder to believe these Hollywood stories. It's kind of weird. Oh, it says, all right, here it is. Timothy Busfield turns himself into police, promises to fight the child sex abuse allegations. Days after authorities issued an arrest warrant, he turned himself in. He has turned himself in a Metro Detention Center in Albuquerque. He was booked on his warrant. It's Tim. I'm sure many of you know and watch this. I ordered to come to Albuquerque. I'm here now. I got the call Friday night. I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car and drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. I didn't do anything to these little boys, and I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it with the great team, and I'm going to be exonerated. I know I am, because it's all wrong and it's all lies. Well, so hang in there. Hopefully, I'm out real soon and back to work. On Monday, a U.S. Marshal stepped in, taking efforts to locate him. He can't remember them because pedophiles look at children as objects, not people. Hollywood has said many pool parties with underage Hollywood actors. Has said many. Arrest warrant was issued. Investigator with the filed a criminal complaint supported a charge which says a child reported that he touched him inappropriately. I don't know. I guess this is the video.
Hi, everybody. It's Tim. I'm sure most of you know that are watching this that I was ordered to come to Albuquerque. I'm here now. I got the call Friday night. I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car and drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys. And I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it with a great team. And I'm going to be exonerated. I know I am, because this is all so wrong and all lies. So hang in there, and hopefully I'm out real soon, and back to work. And I love everybody for supporting me. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So the TV series he directed and acted in, Busfield allegedly touched a child 3 or 4 times, and again another 5 or 6 times when the child was 8. A representative for Warner Brothers said, "We take all the allegations very seriously, and we are aware of the current charges and have been and continue to cooperate with law enforcement." So, I mean, police investigation began November 1st, 2024, after the doctor alerted officers about a case of alleged sexual abuse. According to an arrest warrant, 2 11-year-old twins alleged director, whom they would call Uncle Tim. Wait a minute. So, they're saying that the kids were 11 years old, but the allegations are that the sexual abuse occurred when they were 7 or 8. So that's 3 years difference. So how? Maybe I'm overthinking it, but how could a doctor notice sexual abuse that happened 3 years prior? Right? I mean, wouldn't a doctor have noticed it before or something? I mean, something doesn't make sense with that, right? Am I wrong? In some of those pictures, you look like Richard Dreyfuss. Right? I mean, something doesn't make sense. Allegations said it happened when they were 7 and 8. And that when they were 11, they're at a doctor's office. Psychological damage? Maybe. Maybe. I'm just saying something seems off. That's all I'm saying. Something seems off with that to me. One twin claimed an incident occurred while alone with them in a bedroom on a set, allegedly was touched over his clothes. The warrant further states the hospital professional later informed the parents the child showed signs of being groomed. Probably just terrible writing in the article. Probably, it could be. One of the boys was diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety following his claims of inappropriate touching. Lawyer referred to doctor, then psychologist. Oh, yeah, probably. The boy had been, you know what? If that's the case, if it was a lawyer that she went to and then sent with these people to say this stuff, and then, we're mandatory. Yeah, I could see, yeah. So I don't know. The boy said he'd been having nightmares about him touching him, waking up scared. An interview before his arrest, Busfield allegedly told police he'd heard the parents wanted revenge against him because their boys had been replaced by someone younger for the final season, which ran from 2022 until 2025. When investigators asked Busfield if he'd ever picked up the children, he allegedly admitted highly likely he would have, and he would foster a playful environment on the set, adding that such interaction would occur in front of the parents. There would never be a weird moment about it. I don't remember picking up those boys, but I remember picking up the boy who followed them. I'd pick him up and he'd be giggling, and that would sort of get him ready to act. Busfield said he and his wife had a relationship with the boys and their family outside of the show before the children were cast, had seen them at social gatherings, even purchased Christmas presents for the boys. Police interviewed numerous people during the investigation, including a witness who claimed to have seen an incident in the hair and makeup trailer in which executive producer and director entered and kissed a minor male on the face as the minor was getting a haircut. In my training, pedophiles often infiltrate families under a trusted role. Well, I guess the easiest way to solve this is to just not have any kids in that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Mrs. Gilbert is not making public statements. Any purported statements circulating online, including AR gender deep fakes, for breaking her silence, should be treated as not coming from her. Okay, she's honoring the request of Tim's lawyers to not speak publicly. So, hey, happy Tuesday, everyone. It sounds like Hollywood is chewing on cotton. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe and follow and all that stuff. That's everybody. All right, so let's see here. All right, let's do this. We're going to bounce through some stuff here. Get rid of whole man. Okay, do this. Let's do this. Should bounce through some stories real quick before we end. House Republicans just filed a new reconciliation bill banning illegals from obtaining a dime of taxpayer welfare. Only 51 required votes in the Senate. Let's get this done. It ensures only citizens count for purpose of allocating funds to states, cracks down on rampant fraud, codifies Trump's CEOs. Yeah, Republicans can and must do this second reconciliation bill. This framework makes it affordable again for the American people.
Now, Republicans in Congress can and
Whoa.
Now, Republicans in Congress can and must go it alone with the second reconciliation bill. And this RSC's framework is all about making life affordable again for the American people and putting the American worker first. It prevents illegal immigrants from obtaining all government handouts, cracks down on rampant fraud like the abuse and mess that we've seen in Democrat states like in Minnesota, and reforms funding so only citizens count when we're doling out federal funds to the states. Now, this is our moment to flip the script, restore balance for the American people, and put power back in your hands, not bureaucrats, foreign nationals, or illegal immigrants. This bill achieves more conservative wins for House Republicans. It codifies President Trump's executive orders and slashes even more wasteful spending. My colleagues and I didn't run for office to continue the status quo. We understand that business as usual will put our country out of business. We were elected to help President Trump make America great again. And with Reconciliation 2.0 in this framework, we take another giant step towards that. And with that, I am proud.
Yeah, so that story, so they want to do that. And then the estimated spending savings are 1.6 trillion. So yes, it has to pass. And then there was stuff. James O'Keefe did some stuff. This memo went out to the United States Secret Service. They get us below the belt's unfounded. This agent can't figure out if a citizen journalist is playing them. How can they figure out if a foreign government is playing them? Yeah, so some Secret Service agent was sharing a bunch of stuff about trillions of dollars a year, and they can't get a mic that works. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like nuts. I turned it down like real far too, and it was still crazy. So yeah, Secret Service agent was filmed saying a bunch of shit. It's right here. The Secret Service agent, he's on, Secret Service assigned to J.P. Vance leaked sensitive information. He's a holdover from the Biden administration. Stated he voted for Biden while expressing opposition to Trump and ICE. So this guy is a Secret Service agent revealing all types of stuff about J.D. Vance's schedule, where they go, how they do all this stuff, and to O'Keefe. And the Secret Service response is to attack O'Keefe instead of saying, hey, this guy should be fired. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. And here we got hello, Pam Bondi. You say obstruction needs intent. Here it is on video. Chicago impede team crosses state lines into Minnesota and admits we have to make sure they don't take anyone. That's a textbook admission of felony obstruction of federal law enforcement officers. Time to indict.
Let's go back in there.
Yeah, warn people.
Yeah.
We should follow that one. No, honk the fuck out of it. There's still this one here, though.
Yeah.
We gotta make sure they're not gonna take anyone.
Fuck ICE!
And fuck you too if you support them.
Fix your teeth, bitch!
Wow, that's not very Christian-like. They're assaulting people's what they look like. Yeah. Chicago and Peter patrollers are crossing state lines that obstruct and harass ICE. This crew is infamous for daily antics in Chicago. Still no indictments from the DOJ. Pam Bondi better do something. Oh, Hillary Clinton thinks she can get away with it because Hillary left Ambassador Stevens to die in Benghazi. She got away with it. Hillary violated the Espionage Act by having a private server in her bathroom. Got away with it. Hillary attempted a coup against a duly elected president. Got away with it. Republicans are chumps. Hillary Clinton says it's not about right or left, it's about right and wrong. That's why she's refusing to testify about their links to Epstein, because it's about right and wrong. Immediately after the Tren de Arago suspects in Portland were shot and wounded, Border Patrol during a truck ramming episode, selective internal sensitive information about the shooting was leaked by a first responder to an extremist group, which mobilized people on the scene. A Portland spokesperson told me the investigation revealed it was a first responder from a contracted agency. That suggests it was an ambulance staffer with AMR Social. Read this. Yeah, Portland border attack suspects charged revealed to be tied to multiple Tren de Arago things. So, yeah, that's who's... All these people working for all these agencies doing this shit need to be charged. Need to be charged. Like that whistleblower. They all need to be charged. Charge them all. Charge them all. On January 7th, ICE officers responded to a distress call from fellow officers who were under attack by agitators. They go, oh, they kneel on this guy's neck. They do this stuff to him. But they slowed the video down. Watch. They're going to show him. They're going to be like, watch. They're going to show the video, slow the video down. Watch this. Watch. They're going to slow the video down. The guy's like this. They're going to like, oh, where? Watch. Watch. Listen. See that? So they slow it down. At some point, a country has to be allowed to say enough. This is a conversation we're not allowed to have in public. Yeah. Sargon of Akkad.
At what point do the English get to exercise their rights to the country and say, we've had enough? Right? At what point? Now, I think that about the sort of 65%, 75% mark is a pretty reasonable place for us to say, look, we've been pretty tolerant up until this point, but the situation is just getting worse, right? No one's listening to the fact that actually we're not happy with the way our country's going, and there's no moral obligation for us to cede our country to foreign peoples. No one's got a right to this country. Everyone who comes here as a guest at our pleasure because they have their own country that we don't have a right to either. And so now it is completely reasonable for the English people collectively to say, we're not happy with this and we'd like it to stop.
What are some of the biggest issues? They're things that I think that I talk about as well, but that the English ethnos is not happy with right now.
Well, there's loads of things. I mean, where do you begin? At what point do the English...
At what point? Where do you begin? Democrats, holy shit, the Democrats tried to amend a bill that would allow illegal aliens who commit fraud to remain in the U.S. indefinitely. Democrats are the party of fraud and criminal invaders.
This bill says if you admit to fraud, you're deportable. The amendment removes this provision. The amendment says even if the alien admits to the fraud, they can remain here indefinitely. Now, that's absurd. The current law is so ambiguous that even conviction is not sufficient for deportation or inadmissibility. I cited a number of cases in my opening. In one case where an individual who committed an aggravated felony was allowed to stay in this country despite a conviction in a $169,000 food stamp scheme. In another case, an alien was placed in removal proceedings in 2005. He remained there until 2013, when his case finally made its way to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit to determine whether his conviction for conspiracy to traffic in identification documents made him removable from the United States. Another fraudster spent 2 years challenging his removal proceedings, even though he had admitted that he had received up to $3.5 million through food stamp fraud.
That's insane. Who is he, the Englishman? That is Sargon of Akkad. I can't remember his real name. He's on the Lotus Eater podcast. He's a Englishman, a right-wing English guy, whatever you want to call it, right-wing English person. I can't remember his name. Damn it. I know his name, and I can't remember his real name, but he goes by Sargon of Akkad. But Jake, can you believe that? The Democrats, demon rats, don't want people who commit fraud to leave. They want them to stay and commit more fraud. Yeah. And so here you go. Remigration. Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Flanagan is attacking the Laken Riley Act because it keeps violent illegal aliens detained after arrest or conviction. She claims due process while ignoring the dead Americans it's named for. Flanagan denounces the Laken Riley Act, which mandates detention of deportable non-citizens arrested or convicted for violent crimes. She claims Minnesotans deserve better while defending a system that releases dangerous offenders. Her due process argument collapses under scrutiny since the law applies only after criminal involvement. Laken Riley should be celebrating her 24th birthday today. Demon rats chose criminals over victims again. Yeah. Here she is. Ready? This bitch is crazy.
Way back at the beginning of this second Trump administration, the very first vote that was taken under this Trump administration was for the Laken Riley Act, which strips immigrants of due process. Minnesotans deserve better. Our immigrant neighbors deserve better. Way back at the beginning.
Strips due process. Really? Yeah, his name is Carl Benjamin. That's right. Yeah, Carl Benjamin. He has been sus to me ever since espousing praise upon Julius Evola. I don't know who that is. I don't know. Yeah, thanks, Philip. Radical leftists are bound and determined to show us what an actual insurrection looks like. Yeah, they're trying. They're trying. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder what's happening, though. It took Merrick Garland 3 weeks to indict Steve Bannon after he was held in contempt of Congress. Hold Bill and Hillary in contempt. Indict them both. It's not about right or left. It's about no one is above the law.
So with that, be happy to answer any questions real quick. Unanimously by the committee in a bipartisan manner, we will move next week in the House Oversight Committee markup to hold former President Clinton in contempt of Congress. Well,
that's good. Hold him in contempt. Oh, here we go. Check this out. Obama's press secretaries asked this back in 2016 about reports that during immigration raids, ICE agents were storming into homes, going room to room looking for illegals and making children tremble with fear. I only thought fascist presidents do that sort of thing. Why was the press so civil? Why weren't they crying or at least calling Obama a Nazi? How come nobody was shaving their head in protest? Surely there were a bunch of angry white liberal wine moms outside the building screaming at the top of their lungs. Always keep in mind how fake and performative the outrage is.
Josh, there've been reports that the Department of Homeland Security and ICE have begun removal operations. I think what they're calling it, others are calling it raids against Central American families who came across the border illegally over the past year and a half. And some of the reports suggest that families. The Los Angeles Times quoted a woman saying that her family in Georgia, ICE agents came in, looked room to room, woke up her own kids. They were shaking with fear. Wondering if the administration can confirm that those operations have begun, and whether the White House has had input directly with DHS about how those operations should be handled, and whether there are any concerns about striking fear into the communities, including those who may be here legally, living with some of these other folks as these are carried out.
David, for individual operations, I'd refer you to the Department of Homeland Security, and they can discuss with you individual operations that were carried out. What I can tell you is that the Department of Homeland Security has prioritized the cases of recent arrivals, individuals who recently crossed the border into the United States without proper documentation. And those, again, based on public statements, including a statement that was recently issued by the Secretary of Homeland Security, were the nature of the operations that were carried out over the last several days. This is consistent with the kinds of priorities that the president himself has talked about.
The president himself talked at all about, with the Department of Homeland Security, about sort of the way these operations are conducted, and the tone that they're taking with, and the way that they look for the immigrants and around them.
Well, obviously, in terms of setting policy, the White House and the Department of Homeland Security have had discussions about some of these matters, but ultimately, when it comes to enforcement issues, those are decisions that are made by law enforcement professionals.
Oh, it's made by law enforcement professionals. Wow. What do you know? What do you say? Law enforcement professionals. Wow. Oh, wait. Damn it. Damn it. Whatever. These dipshits don't even know if they filed a lawsuit yet against the Trump administration. Ellison said we filed a lawsuit already, but then his special counsel reveals, I don't know if we filed one yet. I can't see Holman allowing his agents to terrorize kids. Yeah, I don't. Threw Carl Benjamin in jail. Great Britain threw him in jail, if I remember right, because he had his dog do a Nazi salute. No, that's not Carl Benjamin. That's Count Dankula, which I can't remember his name either. That the Nazi pug thing was Count Dankula. Who does, if you guys don't know, Count Dankula does some great work with his, what's it called? His series on like he does like people stuff. So this is what happens when DEI extraordinaries are selected, not elected. Yeah.
Ramped up in the last week.
Right.
What kind of timeline can you expect on this suit? What are you looking at with your office can expect?
Well, we filed a lawsuit already. It's on file right now.
As far as results.
Well, it's hard to predict exactly what the court schedule will be, but we are anticipating quick action. I don't know, would any of my team members Brian, you want to respond to that?
Brian Carter, Special Counsel to the Attorney General. I don't know if we filed quite yet, but we do have a motion for a temporary restraining order that's going to be filed today. We're going to ask that the court hear that motion tomorrow morning. There's another similar motion in a separate but related lawsuit that's scheduled for that time. We're going to try and piggyback on that, and we're going to be asking for immediate relief.
Ben Crump reveals in his own video that Keith Porter Jr. was firing a rifle into the sky on New Year's Eve and then pointed the rifle at an ICE agent. Even his own family members admit what he was doing was illegal. Another lie by America's biggest liars. Yeah, so that they're talking about this guy. They're trying to say, oh my God, they illegally killed this guy who was firing a gun.
Encountered Porter holding a long rifle. Advocates say Porter's gunfire that night was his way of observing the holiday.
Yes, it was illegal, but at the end of the day, it's American tradition.
I'm 80 years old. It's happened as long as I can remember. That's one of the things that happens. People shoot guns as part of fireworks and celebration of the new year.
But the agent allegedly ordered Porter to put down the weapon. And when he didn't comply, DHS says the off-duty officer fired his service gun. The agency claims Porter fired 3 rounds at the officer encountered Porter holding a long rifle.
Well, why did they cut it off? The agency claims he fired 3 rounds. Keith Porter fathered 2 sons and a brother who had a gun shooting it up in the air and on New Year's Eve, and then allegedly pointed at the officer, was shot and killed. So, I mean, why is this even a story? ICE says, I love my job. I can't believe I got paid to do this. I do this for free. The protester, I get $200K. I'm a physician's assistant. How long did you have to go to school for that? 7 years. I only went to high school and I make $200K.
I don't care what they told you. If you guys get in my way, I will arrest you.
Sir, we're just observing. Please calm down.
You can observe all you want.
I am observing. Do you
Stay
see
back.
me in the way? I am bad.
You had anger issues as a kid, didn't you? Were your parents present? You should be ashamed of yourself, man.
He is.
I love my job. Thank you.
You love your job?
I can't believe I get paid for this.
Really?
I do this for free.
Really, I get $200K. I'm a physician assistant.
How long did you go to school for that?
Over 7 years.
I went to high school. I make $200K.
People regard me as someone valuable in society.
I regard this ICE officer as someone valued in society.
I don't care what they told.
I don't care what it's stupid. Whoever's telling these people this is the problem. Whoever's telling these people this stuff is part of this conspiracy and part of the problem. It's a stupid tradition. The bullets come down somewhere. Yes, the bullets come down somewhere. And unless you fire perfectly straight up into the air, if you're on any type of angle, the bullet's going to come down like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you fire straight up in the air, the bullet, I think, comes down with enough, it can hurt somebody if it comes straight down. It's going to be traveling, it's not going to be traveling, thousands of feet per second, but it's going to be traveling like 130 feet per second or something like that when it comes down. What about the woman that Smelly's killed on his first day at his job? No one cares about her. They want him released. They say he's targeted. It was racism because, he shouldn't be released. Fired 3 shots at the off-duty agent. I heard that's what they're claiming. So, for the 3rd time to Antifa, if you batter me, I will rip your mask off and expose your identity. Every single time, this clown ended up running away after his face was exposed, as most of them do. Just keep it in mind. You've been warned. Like, I don't know if this is the greatest video. Like, I think maybe.
Back up, dude! Back up!
Sir.
Terminal velocity, yeah. There you go. Looks good.
Did he punch you? Yes. So I broke his glasses, so now he can't see. That was weak as fuck.
Suck their dicks in there. Get the fuck out. Get the.
Oh, man. All these people that talk about the First Amendment and they got the rights to protest, they all seem to think that they are the only ones that have rights. All these other people like Nick Sorter and all these other people, they think that doesn't get the fuck out. You don't belong here. You can't be here. Blah, blah, blah. Well, what about they have the same rights you do, dummy? Yeah. Terminal velocity, definitely. Good luck, Minnesota and Keith Ellison overcoming the Supremacy Clause. Well, there'll probably be some lower court inferior tyrannical black robe judge that'll say, side with them. These agents shouldn't engage in idle banter. No, they shouldn't. You're right. They all need to be undoxed, dox them all like they're doing to the ICE agents. Yeah, that's what I say. Again, these people are playing make-believe. I asked a buddy who did PMC work about going into life or death situations once. He said, if we think we are gonna die, we don't go in. These people are performing. The people who actually do this stuff, like abandon their kids to go obstruct federal law enforcement, commit felonies, should have their kids taken away or be 5150. It's time. It looks mostly peaceful to me. So look at this crazy broad. Ready?
It says, the moment I realized I was in the same situation Renee Good was in, heading to report ICE and I could potentially never see my kids again, and she's crying on camera. 5150.
Psychotic.
5150. Yeah. We had this debate last week, and we were talking about, rights and all of that stuff. And I pointed out to this liberal that there are mechanisms in this country.
Yeah, It's just crazy people. All right. And holy cow, one of the biggest stories of the year. Macomb County Clerk Anthony Ferlini just put out a press release that hundreds of jurors could not serve because they are illegal aliens. Jury service summons are based on random draws from the driver's license bank. 239 non-citizens were found in the jury pool over a 4-month period. It appears 14 of those prospective jurors were registered to vote at some point in time. One particular appears to have voted several times. So not only are the illegal aliens allegedly getting driver's license in Michigan, but they're also allegedly being registered to vote, and even there's a case of one voting. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, what do you have to say about this? This is just Macomb County over a 4-month period. Where else is this happening? Thanks for exposing this. So yeah, what do you hear of this? So we found that it's very disturbing. 239 citizens were found in a jury pool. All right. And but here it gets even better. All right. All right. And then and Harvey Dillon says, well, someone's definitely going to touch it, because Macomb County Clerk's office says Michigan Secretary of State's office says we're not going to touch this when presented with the allegations of non-citizens on the jury pool and voter rolls. Secretary of State Benson has not responded to the story. Important to note that Macomb County Clerk is also a candidate for Michigan Secretary of State. Minnesota will overcome it if they can jail someone who accommodated a criminal and held him as per the training manual. They can overcome it. Yeah.
Did you communicate with Secretary Benson before his press conference, and what was that conversation like, if so? Did you communicate with Secretary Benson before his press conference, and what was that conversation like, if so?
We did. We made a call, asked about these people that are on the system, not specifically with the secretary, but with an employee. And I think, Monica, what was the conversation like?
I did make a call to Secretary of State's office to verify procedure to remove the individuals that we did identify from the voter roll. And the response was that we're not going to touch this.
Those exact words?
Yes.
Did you communicate with...
Yeah, so no, we're not going to touch this. We're not going to remove anybody from the voter rolls. Of course not. Yeah. Wow, my entire story. So hopefully the DOJ is going to get on this. Mike Benn says, oh, yeah. All right. And it's been revealed that the man charged with murdering 2 teenagers in Charlotte, North Carolina is an illegal immigrant. In the arrest records, he's labeled as white, male, with blonde or strawberry hair. Are you kidding me? I mean, how is this possible? How is this happening? I am glad that some other people are noticing this stuff. Wait, can people who aren't registered to vote be called for jury duty? I thought that's where they got the database from, was for people that are registered to vote. It shouldn't be just driver's license numbers. Doesn't make any sense. I guess I assumed it was federal law. Starting to think there's hardly anything in this country that's not the Truman Show. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. It's totally cray. Totally cray. All right. We've been going 2 hours and 40 minutes. And second night in a row that we didn't even come close to nothing. That doesn't look blonde to me. It's a driver's license. I can confirm that. Okay. I wonder if Bella is okay. Yeah, Bella's okay. See, she's fine. She's fine. She's just sleeping. But I'm debating who should we raid tonight? I want the chat to tell me who we should set to raid. That doesn't look like Ken from Barbie. No. Should we raid? Let's see. show you our choices. There's a whole group of people here that we could raid tonight when we end the stream. We got the Pat Dixon is streaming. Joe is streaming, obviously. Third Railify is streaming. Tukey Soup Camelot is streaming. Hoping Pam Bonnie will be gone by the end of next week. They need a pipe hitter. Yeah. I thought Illinois have motor voter registration. Yeah, they do. Illinois, most states do. It's a federal law. I'm debating. I don't know. I think we will. I think we will raid Third Railify. They have, they could use the help. They only have 4 people watching the show, so that will work out good for them and help them. With some viewers and stuff like that. Joe doesn't need any help. Obviously, anyone who wants to go to Joe can go to Joe. Doesn't really. Doesn't really. Doesn't really matter to. So I want to thank everybody who's been here, and thank you all. And they've been streaming the Minnesota protests. All right, well, that's good. Yeah. Thanks, Jim and Invisible Bella. Well, there's Bella right now. I put her on to show you guys that she's alive. She's alive and well. There she is. See? There you go. Great view of Bella. So I want to thank everybody who's being here. Please remember to hit the like button. Please subscribe. Pat Dixon's obsessed with his ex. Yeah, that's why he's doing some weird stuff. I don't know. He used to cover news and stuff, and he's not really covering news and crime. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I want to thank everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow, Wednesday night. I don't know. Maybe I'll go later. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But thank you. And come on back for Jim to tell you the news.